The objective, again, similar to yesterday's session, we will review all the common agile concepts. Yesterday we did for traditional processes, and today we will do it for agile concepts. One-stop revision thing for you, so that you can very quickly revise everything that is required to be understood for agile, especially the concepts. It will be especially beneficial for you, those of you who are not a part of agile. Even if you are a part of agile, you may not be using all these terms, but if you're not a part of agile, definitely there are so many terms that you would have seen first time when we were doing the training, and now you will see it again. And few other terms, it may happen that you are seeing for the first time. Okay, don't worry about it. Try to imagine where it will be used. I'll try to give you all as much idea as possible. Okay, but if you think that you need a little bit more information, please stop me. You can ask me, and then we'll start. Okay, so let's go ahead. First, agile. What is agile? Agile is a mindset. Okay, very important to understand. It can be a methodology, it can be an approach of project management, it can be an approach of product development, but ultimately it is a mindset. Okay, you don't do agile, you become agile. Right? The idea is to become agile, right? Whenever you are thinking about it, whenever your attitude, your belief, it should be agile. That's what agile is. Okay, so agile is a mindset. Don't think of it as a framework that you have to follow. Someone has given decided a framework, someone has decided a methodology that we have to follow. It's not that. Okay, if you keep that thing out of your head, it will be easier to understand agile and very easy to solve exam question, and you will start feeling confident. See, the main reason why you would not feel confident solving agile questions if you're not a part of agile is that you would believe that, okay, there is something which has not been presented to me, and that is why you will feel not confident, diffident in approaching these questions. The reason it has not been presented to you is because there's nothing like that. Okay, in traditional approach, we see all those 5 process groups, 49 processes, 10 knowledge areas, performance domains, this, that, right? So there is a methodology, there is some framework, there is some approach, there are some processes that is to be followed, because the work is well known to us. That is why we choose a traditional approach. But in agile, the work is not known. We know, only thing that we know is that there will be changes in the project. So at that point of time, what you do is you kind of build an outline, kind of build a framework, and you don't dive deep into it. You say, okay, this framework is good enough. Now I will build my mindset. I'll prepare my team with that mindset, and we will deal with the situation as the situation arises. And hence, nobody gives you the processes for agile. Nobody gives you the detailed understanding of agile because there's nothing to do. So the idea is that you have to become agile. You are not doing agile. Okay, you think agile. You believe in agile, right? And then you build your team around it who also believe in the same way in coming together, collaborating, solving problems together, doing or developing the product in small increments, showing it to the customer, getting quick feedback, and keep on building as per the requirements of the customer. Right? That is what agile is. It focuses on collaboration, adaptability, and customer feedback as early as possible. Okay, that's what agile is. Now, where did agile come from? Agile came from Agile Manifesto. Okay, so around 2001, there were a group of 17 software engineers, as you can see it here. Okay, they came up with the term agile. Everybody was trying to solve a problem at that point of time, which was how do we manage software projects? Because there are so many changes, and if you follow traditional approach, they were facing a lot of problems. So they wanted to develop software, they wanted to manage projects in a way that they can take care of all these uncertainties. And because these uncertainties kept on growing throughout the last 20-22 years, Agile kept on becoming more and more famous, more and more applicable in many other projects, and that's how it became famous. Right? So Agile, what is Agile Manifesto? It talks about 4 values. Individual and interactions over process and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. Right? Basically, focusing on people more than the processes, focusing on product more than the documentations, focusing on customer more than the contract, focusing on change more than the plan. Right? That's the idea. The idea is that there will be a lot of changes in the project. So we need to focus on coming together, discussing, collaborating, focusing on customer and delivering whatever they want as they want continuously. Right? That is what Agile Manifesto is. Then when they came up with Agile Manifesto and Agile Term, next year again they met and they came up with some 12 principles, okay, that underpins the Agile software development practices, which means whatever we had seen in Agile Manifesto, Agile Value, it is based on these 12 principles. These are guiding behaviors that they talk about, okay? And this is what Agile mindset also is. That we will focus on shorter iterations, we'll build quickly, we'll show it to the customer, we'll get quick feedback. Then again, we'll not focus a lot on processes and planning because it is not possible. There will be a lot of changes in the project. So rather than focusing on processes and documentation, we'll focus on people. We'll focus on continuous collaboration, we'll focus on continuous improvement, we'll focus on coming together and building products that the customers want. Okay, that's what Agile principles talk about. Okay, should you read about it? Yes, absolutely read about it, about these 12 principles. It will help you in building that mindset. Okay, where do you read it? agilemanifesto.org, the original website for the document. Okay. Then we talked about Agile mindset, right? So mindset is a set of attitudes, value, and beliefs that will guide individuals and teams who are practicing Agile methodologies. Okay? The way you think, the way you behave, the way you act in the project is what is called Agile mindset. Okay, so remember this, there is no detailed processes, there are no detailed way of telling you how Agile is to be done. There are frameworks, there are mindset, there are principles based on which you have all the freedom, your team has all the freedom to complete the work as long as you are working within that boundary. That's what Agile mindset is. Okay, focuses on flexibility, collaboration, and customer-centric approach. Now, when we talk about Agile, there are two ways in which you can manage the project. One is called iteration-based Agile. Okay, iteration-based Agile is developing the product in Agile by dividing the whole project into small cycles of time. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, every 2 weeks you will build something. Every 3 weeks you will build something. And that 2 week, 3 week time box is called iteration. Okay, as you can see, iteration by iteration, you will keep on building the product. One component of the product, then another component of the product. As you can see, the product is becoming bigger and bigger. Right? That is what iteration-based Agile is. So in Agile, what we do is, we say either it will be iteration-based Agile or it is flow-based Agile. We'll see that in the next slide. But iteration-based Agile is like, you have understood the work on an overview level. Now you are breaking the whole work as saying that we will work in a cycle of 1 to 4 weeks. It could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you decide. You will follow that throughout the project so that there is a simplicity of work. Very important. See, your environment is changing continuously. Customer is coming up with change in scope continuously. Right? The possibilities that are arising because of changes in technology is also happening continuously. So because there are so many changes, there are so many uncertainties, you would want to follow simplified process. If your environment is changing continuously and your process also changes continuously, you will be caught up into that. Right? So you need something to hold on to. Hence, what you will do? You follow simplified process. You say, okay, let the environment keep on changing. Let the environment be disturbed. We will not be disturbed. So we will focus on 1 week at a time. We will focus on 2 weeks at a time. Let the environment keep on changing. Let the product owner discuss with the customer and decide what is that they want. I will focus on 2 weeks. I'll complete it. Then I will ask the product owner, okay, what is the next thing that you want? Product owner will tell me what is it required. Then we will build that. And we will keep on building in 2 week cycle. Everybody would know what we are going to build, how much we can do. And we will be able to give a great clarity to the product owner, to the customer, and to any stakeholders who needs to know what is this team capable of, right? So by dividing the whole project into iteration cycles, you are able to give a great picture to your customers, to your stakeholders, that this is what we will be able to deliver. Now, environment is changing continuously, and still you are able to give a good picture to them. Such a nice thing to do, right? Because if the environment is changing and you also say, okay, the environment is changing, you are asking for change, we cannot do this, you finalize, then we will do it. This is also a way of doing project. Okay, but how is it helping the customer? Customer will go to that person or to that company who will say, okay, yes, dear customer, we understand that there will be changes and we are prepared for it. So there are two vendors, one supplier or two suppliers. One supplier is saying that, okay, you are talking about a lot of changes, we cannot do it, finalize it, and only then we can build it. Another supplier is saying that, yes, dear customer, we understand that there will be changes and we are prepared for it. So even if you come with a lot of changes, with minimum amount of cost, we will be able to deliver it to you. We are prepared because we are agile. Customer would go to that second supplier who is agile, because ultimately customer knows that the environment change. It is not their fault. See, customer cannot say that, okay, supplier is not ready with agile mindset or supplier is not ready for agile, and hence we will not extend our possibilities. And hence we will not do innovative things. Absolutely not, right? So they will find the vendors who would support them. And we have to become that vendor. We have to become that supplier. So we have to become agile so that we can grab more opportunities from the market. And how do we do that? By dividing our project into small iterations, saying that we will focus on first iteration only. We will not be bothered about multiple other iterations. Once we complete it, we will show it to the customer. Then we will ask them what is next. Then we'll work for that iteration. Then another iteration, then another iteration. And iteration by iteration, we will be managing our project. That is why it is called iteration-based agile. Other way of doing it is by not even focusing on the timeline, focusing on the flow. Here we will say that we will complete one thing, then we'll complete the next, then we'll complete the next. So one by one, it will run in a flow. Right? Where do we see iteration-based agile? In Scrum. Typically, right? Iterations are sprints, you divide it into sprints and you follow it. Where do we see flow-based agile? In Kanban. Right? Kanban says, or the flow-based agile says, that we will not divide our work into iterations. Rather than that, we will divide our work on feature by feature or user stories by user stories. We'll complete one feature, then we'll complete the next feature, then we'll complete the next feature. Okay, and if I have more team members, then I will start one more user story. But until and unless the previous user story is complete, I will not complete this one. I can start it because my team was sitting idle, so I give them some work, but they will wait till the finalization of this user story happens. That's what happens in Canban. So we say that unless and until one user story is done, the user stories will not come to this stage. Unless and until this moves to this stage, this will not come here, this will not come here. So what do we do here is we utilize pull system. Right? We say that once any user story has moved to a different stage, only then we will pull the previous user story here or the next user stories to this column. So what do? We divide it into multiple stages and it tells us the flow of the work. So one work can be divided into multiple stages. One is like we are preparing for it. So it is at the to-do stage. Another is that, yes, we are kind of developing it. We are writing the code. So it is on ongoing stage. Another is that, yes, we have completed everything. Now it has gone to the checking stage. Customer will check it. So it is at done stage. Right? So we will decide how many stages we want. We will decide the flow that we want, but we will ensure that unless and until a previous user story is complete, we will not pick any other user story. And when we display all of those things on the information radiator, creating this board, we are able to visualize it. We are able to visualize the flow. That's why it is called flow-based agile. Right? So in simple terms, iteration-based agile is where your project, you have decided to break it down into iteration cycles of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and so in these 2 weeks, we will work, and then we'll focus on another 2 weeks, then we'll focus on another 2 weeks. Okay, in flow-based agile, you say we will not be bothered about the timelines unless and until it is release time. You have to bother about that, right? Because you fix the release time whether it is iteration-based agile or flow-based agile. You say on this date we will be releasing into the market. But for the increment of the product, you work in a flow. One after the other, you will keep on completing it without bothering about what is our iteration and what is our sprint. You don't keep that. That is called flow-based agile. Is it clear, everyone? Iteration-based agile and flow-based agile. I mean, manifesto principles was something that we already knew, right? Is repeated multiple times, but the difference between iteration and flow-based agile is important to understand. Okay. If not, please do stop me. I will explain again if required. Okay. But don't go to next slide without understanding the previous slide. Just like in flow-based agile. Okay. Don't start using a different user story unless and until your previous user story is complete. Don't go to next slide unless and until you have understood this slide. Okay. Stop me. I'll explain again. I'll explain with example if required, but we have to understand everything very clearly. Okay. Iteration-based agile, we are dividing into time-boxed cycles of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Flow-based agile, we are doing features or user stories one after the other. Although we don't use process groups in agile, but that understanding is important. That okay, we will start the project, then we'll plan, then we'll execute, and then we'll monitor and control. Okay, and we will repeat this in every iteration. So that idea has not gone anywhere. Although it is not a separate process group that we talk about and only once it will happen, we'll keep on planning, executing, and checking throughout every iteration for every feature, for every user story. Right? So when we are doing initiation, there are certain terms that we need to keep in mind. When we are doing planning, there are certain terms where we need to keep in mind. Similarly, for execution and measurement also, there are certain terms in Agile that we should know of. Okay. Now we will discuss it accordingly. Okay, some initiation terms, some planning terms, some execution terms, and some monitoring and controlling terms. Now that does not mean that we will follow a sequence in agile projects also. It only means that we are studying in that manner. We are understanding these terms. Okay, some planning terms of agile, some execution terms of agile, some monitoring and controlling or measurement terms of agile. All of it will happen every iteration. All of it will happen for every user story. Right? So that's how we are going to study now. Okay, so let us start with initiation terms. The first thing, whether it is traditional approach, agile approach, or any work that you do in your life, understand the vision, understand the objective, understand why we are doing it. Very, very important. Many a times in question also, in PMP question, they will ask you what is the next thing to do, or what is the best thing to do, what is the first thing to do, right? Whether it is a problem, whether it is a change, whether it is a conflict, whether it is a solution, whether it is a suggestion, or anything, the first thing is to understand why we are looking for it. Right? Same thing is with project also. First thing is to understand why. Right? And that is the term called product vision. So what you do in Agile is you sit with your team, you kind of know your team in the beginning itself. Okay, that these are the team members with whom I'll be working most of the times. You sit with your team, bring the product owner, call all the stakeholders, relevant stakeholders who can come, sit with them and design or define this project vision statement. Okay. What is the vision is not as important as who is involved in creating the vision. What are they doing in that time? Because by getting involved in creating the vision, your team members, your product owner, your stakeholders, everybody is in the same meeting room, right? They will be able to understand the vision at a shared understanding level. And that is what you want. It's not a checklist. It's not that, okay, we are doing agile project or traditional project, we must have a vision. So somebody created a vision, you pasted it somewhere, you circulated with everyone. It's of no use. Rather, don't do it. It's a waste of time. If somebody is just forwarding the vision to their team members, it is of no use. And the reason I'll tell you is because look at your organization. They also have a vision statement, mission statement, and many other things. How many of us know about It must be displayed somewhere, right? On the reception center, or when you join, you go to the website, everywhere it is there. But how many of us know about it? Probably not many. Unless and until the company is really focusing on talking about these vision statements regularly. This is what is important. But if you're involved in creating the vision of it, okay, as a startup, okay, if I am involved in building the vision and mission statement of my company, I'll know it by heart. And there will be no doubt in my mind on what the vision is. And that is what is important. It is not about just remembering the statement or whatever that sentence is. It is about understanding it well and not getting confused about it. Okay, so if my vision statement is to reach the entire world with the product, then that is mean that, okay, it is only about reaching the product and not about good quality? Probably not. Although it is not very specifically mentioned in the vision statement, you would still think that the project or the product that we are building needs to be the highest quality possible. Right? So when you involve the team members, when you involve the stakeholders, when you involve the customers, you can bring all of them towards the same platform of what the vision is, what is written in the vision statement, and they will also understand what is not written in the vision statement. All the things are very, very important, because ultimately, if your vision is clear, you will drive fast. Think about driving a car. Right? If it is a foggy weather, you will drive slowly, you will drive cautiously. You cannot move fast. But if your vision is clear, you can move fast. Same thing is with product also. If your product vision is clear, you will definitely be motivated. Your team members will be motivated to complete that job. If your vision for PMP is clear, PMP certification, if your objective is clear, you will definitely move at a faster rate than if it is not clear. If you are doing PMP, okay, it will be a good advantage for me. It is okay thing. I'm happy with my job, but PMP is a good thing to have. Then you may take some time. But if somebody, let's say, for example, somebody who is looking for a job change, or so somebody who is looking for a new job, or somebody who is not working is looking for a job, and then they think that PMP will help, they will be focusing more on that. Why? Because their vision is very clear, along with urgency and importance as well. Okay, but their vision is also very clear. So this is what I want to achieve. In the next 1 or 2 months, I must have PMP certification. It will help me in my job search. Right? Hence, vision is very, very important. So in product building, in project development, project management, whatever we do, okay, understanding the vision is very, very important. And for your exam, okay, vision is not something that is written somewhere and given to somebody. Involve people and create that vision yourself. You don't have to involve everybody. Key people, they should know about it. Okay? That is what product vision is. And when we say key people, your team members are key people. Don't ignore them. Then the next part is product value. Okay, so based on the vision, based on what you want to achieve with the product, you will decide what kind of values you should deliver so that you can achieve that vision. So if you want to build a product which should be used by the whole world, then what are the list of values that you must provide? Good quality, good service, efficient system, okay, something of that sort, whatever it is. Okay, so you will list down all those values, and those are called product values. Speed, safety, cost, right? Convenience, luxury, all these things, privacy, all these things are product value that you would be providing for the product. So once you have done your vision exercise, once you have understood your vision statement, you should also create a list of product value that you currently understand that, yes, these are the values that we should deliver. It will keep on improving. You will keep on adding values. You keep on removing values that you don't think is not required. But when you are beginning the project, you should have the vision very clear. You should also have a list of values that you are going to deliver to this product. That is what is called product value. Right. Then in Agile, it is optional that you create a project charter. It is optional as in nobody creates project charter in Agile. I have not seen anybody creating project charter. They start with a statement of work. They start with a scope of work. They start with a contract that they receive from customer. In traditional, at least 50% of people use project charter. But in Agile, hardly anybody. But you can. Project charter is beneficial. Right? We have seen it yesterday. Project charter is a document that summarizes the information of the project. If it summarizes the information of the project, whether it is traditional or agile, it will be helpful. Although you will not be able to think or understand about the whole project, you cannot decide the timeline, you cannot decide the whole budget, because you know that the project itself will change. But it is a good exercise to have, because you'll be talking about vision, you'll be talking about values, and you'll be talking about how we are going to do the work. Right? So that is what is project charter. Some key information about the project, whatever is known to us, there's no harm in writing that down. Okay. The difference between traditional project charter or agile project charter would be that in agile project charter, you will be focusing more on vision, objective, and grand level things. In traditional approach, you also talk about scope, risks, timeline, cost, because those things are known to you. When you are planning for agile, what are the terms that you should know? Okay. One is product roadmap. Product roadmap is the journey that the product will take from January into 2024 to December in 2024. What are the kind of values this product will deliver, and what are the key features that would help you deliver this value? Key features. Okay. So if you create a 12 months calendar, you may have 5 to 6 values, you may have 10 to 20 key features that would help you deliver those values. You put it on the calendar, how you are going to build it, which feature would happen first, which set of features will happen later. You put it all on the calendar, and what you create is called product roadmap. Right? One product would need maybe a website development team, maybe a mobile application development team, maybe a marketing team. There could be many other teams also. But you can have multiple teams working in parallel on these things. When we learn about PMP and when we learn about Agile, we focus on only one team. So you focus only on one team, but know that there could be other teams as well in the organization. Okay, so that is the roadmap. You will create a calendar of what kind of set of features would be released into the market, what kind of values we are going to deliver through this product throughout the 12 months. That is what product roadmap is. Okay. Then time box, release, iteration, maybe retrospective, maybe daily stand-up meeting. Okay, these are all time boxed, which means you have fixed the time. You have put that item into a box. Okay, so there is a start time and there is a fixed end time. It will never extend. If you have decided your release to be of 3 months, it will never be 3 months and 1 day. All that it will be is 3 months with some reduced scope if your team is not performing well or for any other reason. If you miss the timeline, which means you have missed the scope, you will not never extend the scope. You will, whatever is left, whatever you could not do, it will go to the next release. Iteration, same thing. Daily stand-up should be same thing. Okay? Because now daily stand-up, we are not delivering anything. That's why I'm saying should be, but you should fix a time. You should say that, okay, after 15 minutes, we will not be talking about anything. It may happen that initially in 1 or 2 daily stand-up meetings, you could not complete everybody's part. You say that, okay, it is fine, I'll discuss later. But after 2-3 days, people would start realizing that, yes, we are regularly missing some items to discuss. So they will start discussing only the important things. Or you will say that, okay, after 15 minutes is not possible. So 20 minutes, whatever time you fix, just fix it. Don't extend it. And that is what is called time box. Putting the time in a box and saying that it will not extend. Release is something that goes into the market. Okay, a picture, a movie is released on Friday, generally, right? Or any other day. Okay, so that is released into the market. That is what is called release. So your team would be building the product iteration by iteration or feature by feature. After a certain number of iterations, after a certain number of features, all those product increments will be combined together and it will be launched into the market. After that, for another set of period, team will work iteration by iteration or feature by feature. They'll build another set of increment and then another set of features will be launched into the market. This is what is called version 1, version 2, version 3. Updates of software, right? You all use mobile phones, you all use applications, and sometimes it asks you to update something, right? A new update is available. Would you like to do that? So it is already released into the market. They have left it to you to update it whenever it is comfortable to you. That is what is called release. After every certain period of time, the product is improved with new set of features. Whatever application you use these days, Zoom application we use, right? Now there is an artificial intelligence companion and all other things. Instagram, Facebook, whatever you use, WhatsApp, they all keep on adding features, right? After a certain period of time. That is what is called release. Right? Then what would be release planning? Planning for that release. Okay. Now the difference is that when you are planning for release, you are discussing with the team, you're discussing with customer, discussing with stakeholder, discussing with product owner, but you are not documenting anything. Because when you are planning for release, you are not talking about a lot of things. You are only saying, okay, what are the user stories that would be released? What are the features? What are the functionality that would be released at the end of 3 months? That's it. Who will do it? How it will be done? When it will be done? You are not discussing all those things. And hence there is no need for documentation. All you need to do is, okay, these are a set of features, go back to the product roadmap, update it. Okay, come to the wall, come to your agile wall. You must have an agile wall wherever the team members are working and display all those things, go back to work. In release planning, we are not doing anything in detail, so there's no need for documentation creation. Okay, that is why whenever you are solving PMP questions or whenever you are solving agile questions, if any option is talking about building a process, creating a document, we generally say that it will not be correct. So that's not how we do things in agile. If you see a problem, we come together, we solve the problem. If you have to plan something, we come together, we discuss and we plan. We don't create a document, we don't update a document. Right? So creating a document, updating the process or adding some process of approvals is not a good idea. Okay, so many times we see a question that there was some mistake happened and one of the options says that, okay, there must be an approval from product owner before this is done. No, it is adding process. And we try to reduce the process. We try to focus on people. So there will be another option which will be focusing on people, will focus on customer, which will focus on product. That is the option that we have to choose. Not the option that says add a process, add approval, add a document, create a document. We don't choose those options because that's not the way we do agile. That's not being agile, that's being fixed. Agile is flexible. You create a document and you're fixing things. Agile means flexible. Right? So at release planning, we are not planning for anything in detail. We are just planning which all features will be released into the market after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever the time product owner or the customer has suggested. Okay. Then product backlog. Right? So product backlog is a list of all the requirements which is required by the product. All the requirements needed for the product to run well, to deliver the values that we have supposed to. Right? So product backlog is a list of requirements. Once you complete all those requirements, your product will be ready. That is what product backlog is. The reason we call it a backlog is because these are the list of requirements that the team needs to complete. Okay, it will always be prioritized according to highest value first. How do you visualize a product backlog? Okay, again, not an Excel sheet, not on Word file, but on your wall. Pick up the sticky notes. The product owner will keep on listing down they'll keep on sticking the sticky notes one after the other. Every sticky note will have one user story. That user story, which is of highest value, will be at top. That user story, which is the lowest value, will be at bottom. Team will come to the wall, they will look at the user story on top, and they'll believe that, yes, this is what we have to do in the next iteration. Very clear, no mails, no circulars being sent around, no letters, no nothing, no documentation, no process. Everything is here, team will come, they know that it is there. Whatever is on the top, they'll discuss with the product owner, and product owner will say, yes, this is what we require, and they'll start the work. That is what product backlog is. Now, if the team is not co-located, if the team is not working together, then they will use software. The software that they will use, whether they are using Jira, Asana, or any other tool, will reflect the same thing. There will be a wall created on the software and there will be sticky notes. Either you want it in a list format or in the sticky note format is up to you. Okay, but all those options are available. Right? So the softwares that you are going to use in Agile is nothing but a replication of what we do physically. Only because not everybody can be present physically in the same office, especially these days. That is the only reason. Otherwise, that's what it should be on the wall. Right? So what is product backlog? Coming back again, a prioritized list of requirement for the product. Simple. Right? Which needs to be completed by the team so that the product can be completed. What is backlog refinement or backlog refining? Okay. Understanding the features or the user stories that are to be completed through the product backlog and rearranging that list in priority. Okay. So those sticky notes which was put on the wall, the product owner will discuss with the team. They will discuss the priority and everything, and they'll just rearrange based on the highest business value first. So every time a new item is added, every time some discussion happens, every time some new information is added, team will come with the product owner and they'll try to prioritize it. It must be done before the next iteration planning or while we are doing the iteration planning so that we always pick up the same user story, that user story which is of highest value for the next iteration. That is what is called backlog refining. Okay, rearranging the user stories on the product backlog so that at every given point of time, that user story is on the top, which has highest business value. That is what we will pick. Not the difficult, not the most difficult, not the most easiest, not something which the team knows, not something the team does not know, nothing like that. Only and only highest business value items will be picked first and will be done. Once it is complete, then only we'll pick next. Okay. Now, when you look at Agile, okay, you will see some terms which might be confusing and which will remain confusing. I also cannot help it because it is confusing across the world. Okay. Luckily, you will not be confused in the exam. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you one idea and I'll tell you what the confusion also is, and let's live with it. Okay, so the idea here is that whenever we are working on something, okay, there's features, there's functionality, there's epic, okay, there's a theme, there's a user story, okay, all these things are nothing but the functionality that you want in the product. Okay, if it is a bigger thing, it will be called a theme, it will be called an epic, it could be called a feature. If it is a smaller thing, smaller functionality that we are talking about, it will be called user story. The idea is that the themes will be broken down into features and epics. Epics will be broken down into multiple user stories, okay, which could look something like this. Right? So whether you call features or you let's add themes also, right? Okay, so one theme, okay, this is the theme on which we are working, will be divided into multiple major features. Those major features will be then divided into multiple epics. Epics are nothing but larger user stories. And when you look at epics, you will say, okay, we can actually break it down into smaller user stories also. Okay, and those will be user stories. When these user stories or these functionality cannot be broken down further in terms of deliverable, that's where we stop and we call it user stories. And we need to perform multiple tasks, multiple activities to complete these user stories. In order to understand it by comparing through traditional, these are your deliverables. Something that we see in WBS in traditional approach. Okay, these are our deliverables. This is what will be delivered to the customer. Features will be delivered, themes will be delivered, epics will be delivered, user stories will be delivered. These are nothing but features only. Okay, login page, payment gateway. Okay, these functionalities that you have in your application, that is what it is that we have to deliver. That is what the customer will be able to check and they will be able to accept. These are your deliverables, and task is your activity that we study in schedule management in traditional approach. But what are the activity that we need to do in order to deliver the work package? which is there in the work breakdown structure. Work package is a deliverable. Epics, features, themes, user stories, these are all deliverables. Okay. Task is the activity that we do to complete these deliverables. Most of the times, either they will talk about feature or they will say user stories. As such, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. Ultimately, they're talking about you delivering something to the customer. Okay. So good thing is they will not test you on this. Bad thing is the confusion is that whether feature should be above epics or epics should be above features, which means are the epics divided into multiple features or are the feature divided into multiple epics? Epics are basically larger user stories. Hence, this breakdown makes more sense. But in the world, people are breaking epics and also into features. But that will not be tested in the exam. Don't worry about it. If at all you see, you should not be confused. You should know what the confusion is, and then you should not be confused about it. Okay, so the confusion is that whether feature should come above or epic should come above. It doesn't matter. Whatever you decide in your project, just follow that throughout the project. And then it doesn't matter whether you call it feature or you call it epic. You call rose by any other name, it will smell as sweet. Okay, so whatever it is, the name doesn't matter. What matters is that you follow that convention throughout the project. Good thing, in the exam, you will not be worried about it. In the exam, understand that user stories means functionalities of a product. Features means functionalities of a product. Task means activity that the team members will do to deliver these user stories or features. That's what they will check. Okay. What is a user story? User story, again, explaining the functionality in a story format through the user's perspective. Explaining the functionality in a story format through user's perspective, which means we are saying that how will this functionality that we are building will help the user. That's how you focus on customer always. Whoever is going to use that feature, how is this functionality going to help them? So what will you do? You can use this template. Okay. Now this is not that every user story should be explained in this format only, but this is the most common format of everything. Okay. And the format is, as a user, I want this functionality so that I will have this benefit. As a user, I want video conferencing facility so that I can conduct training sessions of PMP. As a user, you want functionalities so that you can attend training sessions. Right? This is how it is beneficial. So every functionality is explained in simple English language so that the technical expert development team, business expert product owner, requirement expert customer, they are all able to understand what the team is working on. So user story helps in understanding the feature in the same manner by everybody because it is explained in simple English language. That's what user stories are. Okay. Story point is a unit of user stories which talks about the effort required by the team collectively to complete a particular user story. Okay, we don't define or we don't give a unit of user story in time. We don't say that it will take 3 days. We don't say it will take 4 days. We say that this user story is difficult. We say that this user story is easy. Difficult for whom? Easy for whom? Your team only. Your team and your team only, not for anybody else. In your team, let's say, for example, your team is of set of young members who have just come fresh out of college. They would find the same user story very, very difficult, which probably a team of very experienced person find very easy because they have done similar things before, right? So story point is a collective effort of your team, not any other team. Those 5 to 6 members, for them only. That is what story point is. Story point is a unit of collective effort by the team. This is how we explain how difficult this user story is, how much time, how much research, how much effort will be put by the team to complete that user story based on the team's understanding. So team estimates the user story in story points. When you add all those story points together, then you will be able to say that yes, in this iteration, we can complete these many story points. Okay, so story point is a unit of user story that talks about collective effort of the team. Story map, okay, it's a map, right? So map means visual representation of what? Of story. What story we are talking about? User story. Right? So when we talked about product roadmap, okay, we talked about key set of features, key functionalities, key values that we are going to deliver in the 6 to 18 months or to 12 months, whatever the timeline that we selected. So we created a product calendar and we called it product roadmap. We said this is how the product will be developed, key feature by key feature. Story map, okay, is a map of your stories, again put on the calendar. So in product roadmap, you put the key set of features and functionalities. In story map, you actually put all those user stories which you had put on the product backlog. You pick up the sticky note, create a calendar, okay, and start putting your user stories, whichever you know, and try to create a story map. Now, this story map is not fixed. Whenever changes happen, new story comes, you just pick the older story, move somewhere else, pick another and put here. Pick any new user story and keep replacing it. At any given point of time, there should be some idea on how the product will be developed. That is why we create story map. Okay. So story map is a representation, is a calendar of stories, is a representation of your team's plan on which story will be done when. Iterations, or you call it sprint. Okay. These are your time boxed duration within which the team will complete a product increment. Okay. If I have a pen, then I will have a refill. Okay. I would have a lid and I would have the body casing. In one increment, they would probably build the lid. Then in another increment, they'll give the casing. It adds value to it. Can we write with lid also? Probably yes, but it will be difficult. So we'll put a casing to it. Right? In the next iteration, they'll put a grip to it so that it is easier for us to write. In the next iteration, they'll put a lid to it so that the ink does not get dry very quickly. Okay, so iteration by iteration, you will keep on building product increments. Every increment is valuable, and put together, you are always increasing the value of the product. Right? So what did you build first? You didn't build the casing first, because casing is of no use. Casing alone is of no use. You can only hold it. You cannot write from it. What is the most valuable thing in pen? The refill, right? That with which we write. Right? That refill is very important. We built that first, and then we said, okay, writing with a refill is not good. So let us have a casing also around it. So pen's casing is built. Then we put a grip to it. Then we put the cover or lid to it, and then the product was released into the market. Okay, that's the idea of iterations. In every iteration, whatever time you have fixed, 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, okay, in those weeks, you will build some valuable increment, not just any increment. Okay, as I said, we didn't build the lid first, we didn't build the grip first, we didn't build the casing first. We built that refill with which we will write first. It will always be valuable, and the most valuable thing first, then we'll keep on building the product. Right? That is what iteration is, also known as a sprint when we are talking about Scrum. Then iteration backlog is nothing but a part of product backlog consisting of user stories that are to be completed in the next iteration. So we have a list of product backlog, list of all the user stories. From the top, the team will select, okay, we can complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. So that those 5 items become a part of your iteration backlog. Either you can keep it there itself, or you move it to a next column and say that, okay, we have now picked these up for our iteration work. So in the next iteration, whatever user stories you are going to complete is called iteration backlog. Then there are some types of iteration. Okay. So imagine you are starting a project. Okay. You have a list of product backlog. You have a list of user story. Will the team start immediately saying, okay, yes, now first week, we will start developing or delivering the product. We'll start delivering the features. Probably not. Probably they need some time to prepare themselves. Probably they need some time for a warm-up, to understand, to plan on how they're going to do it. So what will they do? They will say, okay, in the first week or in the first 2 weeks, we will not do anything. We'll only prepare ourselves so that from the next week or next iteration onwards, we can start delivering the product. That first iteration, where the team did not do anything, is called iteration 0. And the first iteration will start after that. Okay, so that is called iteration 0. Iteration 0 is the first iteration where we don't deliver any product, we don't build any increment, but we use the same amount of time to learn about the product, to prepare themselves, to collaborate, discuss, set up everything, so that when they start the work, they can continue in the flow. That is what is called iteration 0. Iteration H means iteration of hardening. Hardening means once the team has completed the work, okay, in every iteration they build something, some increments, okay, refill here, casing here, grip here, and the lid here. In the hardening, they would combine all those things together. They will try to write for some time and see that, okay, everything is good or not. So that is what is called hardening. Before you release the product into the market, you would want one iteration just to check whatever you have built. If anything is to be changed, you quickly change it. Okay, that is what is called iteration H. So iteration 0 is your first iteration of the release. Iteration H is your last iteration of the release. Okay, that is what is called iteration 0 and iteration H. Then iteration planning, same as release planning. Release planning was planning for release. So iteration planning is planning for the next iteration. Next iteration and the next iteration only. We don't plan to next iteration. We don't think about future. We think about immediate next. When we are talking about release planning, we are planning only for the next release. When we are planning for iteration, we are only planning for the next iteration. And what are we planning here? We are planning, okay, if these are the user stories to be completed, what are the tasks that we will do, who will do it, when it will be done, those kind of stuff. Okay, that will be done in iteration plan. Now, what are wireframes? Okay, see, whenever you are planning, theoretically, it is very easy to say, okay, we will have user stories, we will put the user stories, then we'll move it there, and then we'll keep on completing it. Sounds very easy, theoretically. Okay, but practically, how do you decide? Okay, customer will give you the possibilities. How will you decide, okay, what is to be done, how the product would look like, what would be the first page, what would be the next page, what would happen if somebody clicks there, what kind of page will open in my website, in my application, right? So it is very difficult to understand. And you cannot just talk about it. So what do? You kind of pick up a pen, a sketch pen and paper, and you try to create that screen on a page. That is what is called wireframe. Showing what your website or mobile application might look like. Okay, as you can see here. Okay, so this is how it will look like. There will be a red button to close the window, then yellow to minimize the window, green to open the window or expand the window, something of that sort will be there. Okay, then there will be some photos, some images, some cards. So how would it look like? When somebody clicks on it, what kind of window will open? Will there be a login page? Will there be login ID? What will it be? So here all the products will be listed down, then their price would be there. Something like this would look like. And this, creating this, creates a good shared understanding among the team members. Just like product vision did. Team members were present for creating the vision. They had good understanding of the vision. Now here the team members are present and creating these things. They will again learn what exactly the product would look like. So involve the team members and create these wireframes. Okay, so wireframes are visual representation of the user interface of your web page or mobile application, which will help you in communicating what is exactly required. So people come together, they create these things, it will be easy to understand. Okay, that is what wireframes are. Yes, Moni, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Amit. My question is, if the wireframe is supposed to show up how the application is supposed to function or to look like, I would like to know what is the difference between a wireframe and a prototype. Thank you.
Prototype would be a product itself. Okay, wireframe is done on a piece of paper. That's the difference. It is a visual representation. Okay, you are looking at a piece of paper and you have created the drawing. It is just a drawing, wireframe. Okay, prototype is that product itself. So instead of building the whole, constructing the whole building, you are just constructing one floor. That one floor is a prototype. Instead of creating the whole application, you are building a small application. That is your prototype. So the product itself in a miniature version is called prototype. Wireframes are just the drawings that you create. Clear, Monique?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Amit. It's clear.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the question as well. Yes, Kirti, please go ahead.
Amit, so wireframes is not a design tool that how they will do it. It is when the design is done just to communicate, right?
Yes, it is just for our communication, just for our understanding. That, okay, this is how it might look like.
So team is internally using it to design the product or they use it just to communicate it?
It's the same thing. Okay.
Okay.
Design is also used for communication and wireframe is also used for communication. Okay. So that whenever somebody is building the product, they would understand what it should look like.
Okay, Amit, thank you.
So could the wireframe look like for a building of a house? Could the wireframe look like the plan of the house?
Sorry?
Maybe drawn on. Could the wireframe, if we're building a house, for example, will it look like an architect designing the plan of the house?
Yeah, it will not be that design. Okay, architect designing the whole house is very detailed.
Okay.
Okay, a wireframe could look like a layman, common man. Okay, let's say I'm not a designer. Okay, I picked up a scale, I picked up some pages, and I constructed what would the exterior of the building look like. So I will have 2 windows, I will have 1 door, there will be some balcony, and something of that sort, right? So a layman would draw something like that, and anybody looks at that drawing, they would say, okay, this is how the building would look like. Okay, it will not be to the scale, it will not be to the dimension and everything. It will just give some understanding.
Okay, a sketch.
Yeah, so let's say, for example, you are constructing your house and somebody in your family wants to approve it. Okay, so you would want to show them, okay, this is how it would look like. Okay, so you'll create a wireframe so that they will understand, okay, I don't need 2 windows, I only need 1 large window, not a small window. Something of that sort. Those kind of discussions would happen, and you will be able to finalize that. You will give that wireframe to the architect, and then they will start building on it.
Okay.
Then they will create the design around it.
Thank you, sir.
Amit, would this be equal to a storyboard?
Sorry?
Would this be equivalent to a storyboard in a script?
Okay. A storyboard generally is a whole board, okay, where we talk about user stories and how it will be built. Okay, so we don't create I would say, a layout of that. We only say that these are the stories that will be completed, and we put those stories itself, written stories, in that format. Wireframe would be a layout. That would be the difference.
Okay,
it will be visual, and storyboard would be written. It will have more text. Here there will be no text. It will just be visual. Great. Any other question, anyone? Please ask the questions. You asking questions is helping a lot of people. Okay, so you are helping a lot of people. Please do keep on asking questions. Yes, let's move ahead. Another thing is personas. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
So wireframe is means in a predictive way. Wireframe is the drawing, and prototype is the model, and then the finished product.
Correct. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes. 100%. Okay. Next is personas. Okay. Personas basically we create to understand who is going to use our product. Okay. Now, if I tell you, okay, that a person is going to use your application that you have built, so it will be a kid, 8 years old. Okay, these we are doing it for kids, and 8 to 15 years old. Okay, so these kids will use our product. If I tell you that, okay, it is a good understanding. It's a good knowledge to have that yes, kids will be using my product. Okay, but if I show you an image of a kid, Okay, who is wearing a cap, who is wearing some goggles, nice, fancy dress and everything, then it gives a better picture to it. Okay, that we are looking at those kids specifically whose parents like to give them fancy dress and fancy all those ornaments and whatever it is. Right? So it gives a better picture to us instead of just writing who our customers could be or target customers or target users could be, creating a kind of image or showing a kind of image to them. See, as human beings, we are very judgmental, right? We look at people's face and we judge whatever we want to judge, right? We see that somebody is not dressing casually or not dressing in suits, and we think, okay, they're very casual, they're not very serious about their job. We just judge it like that. Okay, why do we judge it like that? Because this is what we have come across. We see that people who are in suits and formals, they are very serious and they're very committed to the work. Those who are not are not. Although the whole idea is changing nowadays, but it gives us an understanding of whom are we talking about. Okay, so as human beings, we are very judgmental. So this is helping us in that. Okay, so what will you do is you will try to create some personas. Persona is like you will try to create an image, or you'll try to Google search for an image and you'll say, okay, this is what our customer looks like. This is what our user looks like. So what do you think they would be using? Where do you think they will be spending their time? Well, what do you think they want? What would be their expectations? Right. So by creating the personas, you are able to understand what could be their expectations. Okay. Whenever we are talking about a product which will be used by multiple users, it is very difficult to go and talk to everybody. That is where it helps us. So you'll be categorizing you're creating the multiple images, you're putting some information around it, and you say, this is the user who is going to use my product. Right? So it helps us in creating that. So personas is creating a persona of our users, expected users, to understand what could their requirement be. Okay. That is what personas are. Then iteration goal.
Sir, persona means perception of a user.
Yes, it is a perception that we are representing through the image. Okay. So you will create that image itself. You either Google it, create it through artificial intelligence, but you will create that image so that people look at that person and say, okay, this type of person is somebody who could be my user, or who could be my customer. Okay. For example, let us say we are doing something for fitness. We are creating a fitness application. Okay. So somebody who is in between the age of 25 to 40. Okay. Who does not have a very fit body. So we'll create that kind of an image and we'll say that this person looks like our customer. Okay. Then what would happen is everybody who is looking at that image of that person, they'll start thinking about where I have seen similar person. What do they do? Okay, I have seen them at McDonald's. I have seen them at Domino's. This is what they do. So where should we put our advertisement for fitness application? Right outside Domino's, right outside McDonald's, probably. Okay, so this is how it helps us in understanding their requirements and then building it.
Okay.
That's what personas.
Okay.
Then iteration goals. Okay. So when we are planning for an iteration, we will have a goal that, okay, this is what we want to complete. For every iteration, we should have a goal, which is a high level summary of what is it that we want to achieve. Okay. So we'll write everything that is required to be achieved through iterations. Mostly it will be the user stories that we have to complete. There could be some other things also which we'll mention. Definition of ready. When we are planning for iteration and we have planned it, we are ready to start the work. How would we know that this user story has all the information that we need to start developing it? Through definition of ready checklist. So definition of ready is a checklist which will tell us that all the information that the team needs in order to start developing the user story is available. Has it been estimated? Do we know the value? Has it been prioritized? Do we know who is going to do it? Do we know the story points attached to it? Is all those information available? Are all those information available? If you put a tick to all those items, then you'll say, yes, this user story is ready to be developed. So a checklist that tells us whether the user story is ready to be developed or not is called definition of ready. Acceptance criteria for every user story. Okay, remember this, for every user story, there needs to be some criteria based on which your customer or your product owner will check whether the user story is acceptable or not. Okay, I'm repeating this. It's a set of criteria based on which the product owner or the customer will check whether the user story is acceptable or not. What does that mean? It means that there is a certain criteria. And what that criteria is? Criteria would be like, when I log into the system, okay, I should be able to see a button which would help me start my video conferencing. This is my acceptance criteria. Okay, so what will the customer do? Customer will log in, then they will say, okay, there's a button. They'll click on the button. They are able to log into the video conferencing. They will say, okay, yes, we can accept it. So for every user story, just like you have put the user story, as a user, I want this feature so that we'll have this benefit. Same thing is with acceptance criteria also. Given the situation that I'm logged into the system, when I click on the button, I should be able to start my video conferencing. That is what is your acceptance criteria. So the customer will look at the acceptance criteria. Okay, this is the acceptance criteria. All right, let me log in. Let me click the button. Okay, is the video conferencing starting? Yes, it is starting. Okay, done. Accepted. Right? That is what acceptance criteria is. It's a criteria that you, your product owner, the customer put together, create, so that when the team completes the job, the product owner or customers are able to check based on that criteria and accept it. Okay. Similarly, what is acceptance test? Is the test that your team will conduct to see whether it will be accepted or not. So we are doing some work. So we should also be sure that yes, it will be accepted. It's not that, okay, we'll complete it, we'll leave it to product owner to check whether it is accepted or not. Let it be their headache. If it is bad, then I will correct it. We don't do that, right? We try to ensure that whatever we have done, it is always accepted. So we will have our own acceptance test. We'll have our own acceptance criteria. We will do all those things, but the criteria will be used by the product owner and the customer to check whether the user story is acceptable to them or not. If they find any difficulty in doing all those things, they will not accept it and they'll ask us to change it. For example, we have the button, we have everything, but when they click on button, they have to wait for 1 minute before the video conferencing starts. They will say, okay, this is not acceptable. Then we'll have to work around it. We'll have to change it. The team will have to change it. Then again, they'll have to show it to the customer. Okay. So coming back, acceptance criteria is the criteria based on which the product owner will or customer will accept any user story which has been completed. User story means the product increment. Right. Then we have certain estimation techniques that we use in agile planning. One is called t-shirt sizing. When you start the project, okay, when you are just creating the product backlog, the team and the product owner, people would want to know how difficult it is going to be for the team. Right? And because you don't have a lot of information at the starting of the project, you will say, okay, let us classify these user stories into different categories. You could say hard, medium, easy, easier, very easy, something of that sort. Okay, or you could use t-shirt sizes. Good thing about t-shirt sizes is small, medium, large. And then if something is more difficult, extra large. Something is more difficult, extra large. Something is more difficult, extra large. Similarly, something is less difficult, extra small, extra small, extra small. And you can have multiple categories. One thing. Second thing, t-shirt is something that almost everybody knows about. Okay, unless and until they have been living under the rocks, they know what the t-shirt is. Okay, so it is also easy to visualize what we are talking about. It is also easy to compare. What do we mean by small? What do we mean by medium? What do we mean by large? Right? So when we are starting the project at the starting of the time, and somebody wants to understand, okay, how difficult or how easy this whole product development is going to be, that's when we use t-shirt sizing. T-shirt sizing is estimating the user stories in t-shirt sizes. small, medium, large, extra large. So what would happen? You have a list of all the user stories. You have put all your idea into it. Then what will you do? You will create these categories. And then you pick these user stories and place it here. The benefit of placing again, see, once you have done it, after that placing it in this bucket, the benefit is that now you are able to look at these user stories one after the other right in front of your eyes. This will help you do a second round of check whether all these user stories are similarly difficult or not. Okay, so one round of estimation happens here. Another round of check happens here when you put all those things together. I'll give you an example. Imagine that we have multiple set of balls available, okay, for us to classify the categories. Okay, so let us say these are the balls. Okay. When these are placed far away from one another, okay, we may say that this is a bigger ball, this is a smaller one, this is very, very small. But when you place it all together, you are able to understand it even better. So even slightest of difference, you will be able to spot just because they are both right in front of you. Okay, this is what happens when we put all your user stories in the same bucket. Okay, so one round is where the sticky notes were there and you attached some extra large, medium, and this and that. And then you put in the bucket. Now everything is right in front of your eyes. You can compare it easily to see whether both the user stories look equally difficult or not. If not, move it to some other. Right? So you will be able to check as well. This is what is called t-shirt sizing. As a part of definition, t-shirt sizing is like estimating the user stories in t-shirt sizes. It's not a very detailed estimate, but at a broader level, you can estimate at this level also. That is what is called t-shirt sizing. Yes, Aarti, please go ahead.
So here we are categorizing the user stories into small, medium, but it is the same like, we generally classify it as low priority, high priority, medium priority.
Priority is different.
I mean,
Okay. Priority is different. T-shirt sizing is different. Okay. Priority will be based on business value. Okay. Whichever user story has highest business value, that will be our highest priority, then medium priority, then low priority. Okay. T-shirt sizing does not tell us about business value. T-shirt sizing tells us about how difficult the work is. Okay. It talks about the complexity of the work, not the business value. Okay. So when we estimate in this, and this will help us in estimating the story points. So we can say that a small size means 3 story points, medium size means 5 story points, large means 8, extra large means 13 story points. So that's how it helps us. So t-shirt size is complexity of the user story, not the business value. Thanks a lot for bringing that up, because I'm sure that
thank you.
This could be a confusion in many others' mind. Okay. Then we have another way of estimating the story points in project, which is called planning poker. Okay, so you could do the t-shirt sizing at a very broader level. When you move further, you are planning for the release, you are planning for the iteration, then you want to assign certain story points. Okay, so what will you do? Again, you will call your team members in a meeting room and hand them over some cards, which will have these numbers: 1, 2, 3, okay, 5, 8, 13, 21. Right? These are the numbers that we use for story points through Fibonacci series. Right? How do we arrive at this number? By adding the last 2 numbers: 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 3, 8. So the next number would be 13 plus 21, 34, 21 plus 34, 55, 55 plus 34, 89, and so on and so forth. Right? So you will give not all the numbers, but you will give some 10 odd numbers to them, to your team members. You pick up one user story from the list that you have from the product backlog, show it to the team members and say, okay, this is the user story. What do you think? How many story points should it have? So the team member who thinks that it is easy will probably give it 2 story points. Team member who thinks it is very difficult will probably give it 34 story points. Okay. Team member who thinks that it is medium will give 8 story points. Right? But this is not concluding anything. Which number will you give it then? 2, 8, or 34? You cannot say that, okay, 8 is a medium number, so let's give it and let's go ahead. That will also be wrong. Because probably the person who said 2 knows something that these guys don't know. Or person who said 34 knows something that these guys don't know. So what will you do? You will discuss with the person who said 2 and the person who said 34. Why do they think that it is difficult? And why does this person think that it is easy? Probably the person who thinks it is easy has missed to consider something. Or probably the person who thinks it is difficult does not understand something. So by discussing again, you will be able to either convince this person or this person or this person, right? So there will be a discussion, people would understand more about that feature. And then you will be able to assign 1 story point to it. Okay, that is what is called planning poker. Planning poker means poker cards, right? These are your poker cards. You look at the user stories, every team member will show some cards to it. So the story points. If it is similar, 2, 3, everybody is saying, someone is saying 2 or someone is saying 3. Pick 2 or pick 3 and go ahead. Because there's not much difference between 2 and 3. But if somebody is saying 2 and another person is saying 34, then you must have a second round of discussion. Okay, that is what is called planning poker. And the multiple times that you have discussion to arrive at a similar number is what is called wideband Delphi. So wideband Delphi is a technique that you will use to finalize your estimation during planning poker. Or using any technique, whether you're using planning poker, t-shirt sizing, or any other technique, you will always have a huge range, or you may have, not always have, you may have a huge range of estimate at the first point. What do we mean by that? It means that somebody might say 2 story points, or let us say this example, somebody might say 13 story points, and somebody might say 75 story points. Then you will ask both of them, why 13 and why 75? Based on whatever reasons that they present, you will have a second round of estimation. Then you will see that, okay, the person who said 75 was more logical. So the second round of estimation, people will again estimate. Somebody will say 35, somebody will say 81. What is happening? The range is decreasing, but it is not good enough to finalize. You will have a third round of estimation, right? Now somebody will say 45 and somebody will say 81. It is again decreasing, but still not good enough to decide. Finally, there would be a round where someone would say 61, another person will say 69. So now you know that it is between 61 and 79. Sorry, not 69, 79. So now you have a range. Look at the Fibonacci series. Whichever number is near to that, pick that up and go ahead. Okay, that's how we do estimation through collaboration. Bringing team members together, asking them what they think, how difficult or easy this user story is, asking them to put a story point. When they put or assign the story point to the user story, there could be huge range also. If there's no range, if in the first round itself you decided and you got ahead with that, then good enough. You don't need to use wideband Delphi. But if the range is huge, then you will have multiple round of estimation, which is called wideband Delphi. Why wideband Delphi? It's a wide band, right? Which you want to close. Then another term is called definition of done. How would the team know that they have done everything that is required to complete the user story? By using this definition of done checklist. So definition of done checklist gives you the list of items that must be completed by every team member to say that this user story is complete in all respect. Like, is the review done? Is the peer review done? Unit testing done? Smoke testing done? All the tests done? Demo is completed? If there's a tick to everything, then and only then the team members can say that they have completed the user story. This definition of done should be decided during planning stage itself, right? And will be applicable to all user stories. Can it change? Yes. So as more information is available, as you realize that, okay, we need to add something or we need to remove something, you can do that. But there has to be a definition of ready and definition of done for every user story. And it will be same thing. It is not created unique for every user story. Okay, there's a definition of ready, which means there are 5 points that should be met by every user story. There's a definition of done checklist, which means there are 5 points that should be met by every user story. Only then we can say that, okay, definition of ready checklist is met, we can start developing the user story. Definition of done checklist is met, we can complete and we can demonstrate it to product owner. That is what definition of done is. Okay. Then there's a term which is very common whenever we work, which is called PDCA, plan, do, check, act. You might see this term in the exam as well. Okay. It only means that you must plan, then you should do, execute. Okay. Do means execute, check, and then act onto it. So whenever you want to decide something, whenever you want to build something, this is the way. If you do it, then there will be continuous improvement of your work. Okay, so plan your work, execute the work, check it. The moment every time you check whatever you have done, you will find out opportunities to improve, act on those opportunities, and you will continuously be improving. That is what is PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. Okay. So these were the planning terms. Now, there are not a lot of questions, but I hope that whatever terms that we discussed, is it clear? Is it helping you in revising? And more importantly, is it helping you in building your confidence? Were there some terms that you did not understand earlier and are now very clear about it? Yeah? Great.
Yes, Amit.
For your responses. Okay, so as I said, there are 100 concepts. We have probably touched 40-45. Okay, so there are 50-55 more. We will discuss about execution related terms. Then we will discuss about measurement related terms. And then we will discuss about different agile methodologies. Okay, like Scrum, Kanban, Scrum Band, DSDM, DevOps, Safe, Disciplined Agile, all those things that you might be hearing. What those are, we will have a look at that as well. Okay, so there are 3 more sessions remaining: execution, measurement, and agile different methodologies that we will cover today. Okay, so for now, let us go for a break. Again, 10 minutes. Okay, as soon as it hits 0, we will start.
Amit.
Yeah, please.
Amit, sorry, can you just show the previous slide, please?
Yes. You're asking something or you're noting down?
Yeah, just noting down.
Okay. Yes, Anand, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah. So Amit, whatever we have discussed right now regarding planning terms, I just want to understand, like whenever I see the questions, it is framed in a way that you discuss something with someone, right? So whatever things has been discussed within team, project manager has to be there, then product owner has to be there in Agile, I'm speaking,
yes,
and your team has to be there. Yeah, and the validation is to be done by customer and right. And
yes.
if it is like sometimes the scenario is given that the customer is not present or conveyed, so they use some terms for that.
Proxy.
Those are little, yeah. So
when customer is not there or product owner is not there, we may have to use a proxy. Okay. Proxy means somebody who will take a place of the customer or the product owner. Typically, we should see that a Scrum Master is taking that place. If the Scrum Master is not there, is busy or not available for that, one of the team members can do that. Okay. But it is only for that limited period where we have a constraint and somebody is not available. Only then we do that. Otherwise, we don't.
Right. And we don't do much of documentation here, right? Because we don't add to documentation in Agile,
not at
right?
all, not at all.
So this is understood, right? So no question will be asked like there has to be some documentation or what happens in traditional, right? It has been, everything has to be documentation followed. So there is no typical prototype, right, as such to be followed. There has to be logical conclusion.
There's a framework. Okay. Right. So when we say wireframe, right? We saw a wireframe, right? Wireframe does not talk about details.
Correct.
Same thing is with framework. Framework does not talk about details. Frame of anything is just the border.
Correct.
Right?
Outline.
There's nothing in detail. So Agile, whenever you talk about, you only talk about the framework, Scrum framework, Extreme
Correct.
Programming framework, right? Or SAFe framework, Scaled Agile framework, right? So these are all frameworks. Frameworks means only the boundary. Within the boundary, what happens is completely up to the team members. Okay, they will look at it, they will decide, they'll find the risk, solve the risk, find the problem, solve the problem, look at the user story, complete the user story. Okay,
Correct.
within that framework.
Correct. And sometimes the question is been asked specifically wherein they give a scenario and what is the best way to communicate the progress to customer. Okay, so sometimes it's a prototype or sometimes, some other way of reporting. So
The idea is that the best way to communicate is face to face. The best way to tell about something is by showing it.
Correct.
Okay, I'll give you just example. If I only had given the text, it would have become a little bit boring.
Correct.
Okay, but if I show the image also, it becomes a little bit more clear on what we are talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
If I had to explain that, okay, plan, do, check, that happens in a cycle,
Right.
then I would have to written it. I would have had to write it here. Okay, that it happens in a cycle, it repeats multiple times. But if I show the image itself, okay, it stays with us. Right? Then okay, there was a circle that was created. So any image, anything that you see, whatever we had done, okay, all these images gave us some additional value of understanding it a little bit better. So what I'm trying to say here, and is applicable for all the questions, is that any option, okay, that talks about showing a product, that talks about going to that person and then talking to them, that talks about bringing the team members and then discussing, it is always better. Okay, it is always better to see, discuss, rather than just read something. Okay, and that is why we don't share the report, or that is why we don't share the mail. What we do is we show the product, we come together, we discuss as much as possible. Okay, physical things are much better than electronic things for communication and collaboration in Agile. And we'll see what
many,
is called.
Yeah, so there are many suggestions even, or there are many options given in the question as well, that information radiator, or you choose canban or whatever. So sometimes they go very close to each other. So our
mindset should be that whatever is helping us in collaborating, that would be a better choice.
Right.
Okay. Now, if somebody says send a report, what would happen? You will send a report to multiple mail IDs. It will get in their inbox. They will look at the report alone. Versus if you call them to information radiator, what would happen? You are standing here, that person is standing there, you are looking at the information radiator, and then you are discussing. 3 more people can join, you all can collaborate and discuss. Right? Rather than one person in their cabin looking at the laptop, okay, and trying to understand and then coming and discussing in the meeting, it is much better to call all of them right in front of this. Okay, you can collaborate, you can discuss, you have doubts, and most importantly, you can close that discussion right there. So this is what we have to look at. We have to look at completion and concluding things. So any option that is helping you in concluding things or deciding or bringing things together right there, that is a better choice. That's what we should select for our project management, for exam questions also, and for our projects also. Right? Anything that is helping us conclude it is much better. See, I could have given just an example. I could have given this document to everybody and asked everybody to read.
Right. Yeah.
But it would have been very difficult. Everybody would have read it on their own, then they would have asked questions. But bringing all of you together and then discussing, it is kind of concluding things, right? That at least 70-80% of things are known to us. Whatever is remaining, then you will study a little bit more about it.
Correct.
So
and
that's
same is
please.
Sorry to interrupt. Like same is applicable. Like things are going well, and if things are not going as planned, right? Similar thing has to happen, right? If you're stuck somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Whether we plan something, but that doesn't go the way we wanted in the project. So same way we have to conduct, meetings and
Yes, absolutely. So whether things are going fine or things are not going fine, it is always better to come together, discuss, and close the things. Okay. Whenever anybody has a doubt, they should always think about one thing. Okay, think about your organization or think about anything very important to you.
Mhm.
You don't do it virtually. Okay. Go and talk to your management. If there's a big order coming up, okay, they would fly down to the customer's location, whether it is across the world also.
Right.
Even for 1 hour meeting, they would travel for 24 hours and reach there. Because concluding, negotiating, discussing is very effective when you meet face to face.
Sitting across. Yeah.
That's the idea.
Okay. Yes. Thanks, Amit.
All right, no problem. Yes,
Thank
Kit.
you so much.
Amit, I have two questions. One was out of the test where the question was that a team is about to conduct a iteration planning. So what should the PM bring? And one of the choices was sprint goal and second choice was burn down chart. Right. So I selected burn down charts thinking that then they will know what is pending, they'll prioritize and they'll go ahead with planning. But the correct answer was sprint goal.
See, if you're planning, what is more important for you? Understanding what is pending or what is the goal? The objective, the goal is always better, right? We always prioritize that. Okay. So when we start the project, what is more important to us? What is the goal? Why are we doing it? So why are we doing the iteration or why are we doing the planning is more important than what is left. And another thing, burn down chart or burn up chart is a report of what has happened, not what we are going to do in future. It could give you some hint about it. If you're talking about release burn down chart, probably if it is mentioned that it is a release burn down chart, then you will come to know about it. But it will only tell you what is pending. A better choice is your goal, because goal will tell you exactly what is to be achieved, and then you'll be able to plan better.
Okay, and if there was an option of product backlog also in this, then out of product backlog and goal is still better, is it?
Goal is better, yeah. What will product backlog give us? Nothing. Product backlog will just give us the list of items that is to be done. Goal will tell us, okay, this is what we have to achieve. So based on this requirement or based on this objective or based on the goal, then we will be able to plan much better.
But what means if there's a product backlog, we always say that they will first discuss what is priority. That becomes the goal.
No, see,
No?
see, the idea here is that on the product backlog, you will have an understanding of what is the priority. Okay. So if you have the product backlog, you will know the priority. But the priority itself will not tell you what all things you are going to do. Okay. So you have 10 things to do, and you know which one is to be done first, which one is to be done second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But how would you know that whether you should do 2 things, 3 things, or 4 things? Just by looking at priority, you will not come to know. So in a way to say that you have a list of things to be done, and you know that, but that will not help you in planning. Compared to that, if you know, okay, my goal is to give luxury to this customer. In this iteration, we'll build some product which will give luxury to the customer. Then you would know that, yes, these 3 things will help me in providing the luxury. So now you will be able to decide these are the 3 things that we'll do, and you'll be able to plan around it.
Got it. And another question, Amit, we were just discussing about communication to stakeholders. So if the stakeholder says that I have not been receiving emails, so the mistake is the communication plan, that it's not been included or something is wrong. But at that moment, will it be advisable to meet him first or just send an email to him?
No, I mean, we will not create the plan in Agile. Why would there be a communication management plan?
Okay, so probably that question wasn't traditional. Because you were discussing stakeholders, so I remembered it.
Okay, no problems. But anyways, if you have a plan and you know that the plan is a mistake, okay, probably you will correct it. Okay. If you have a doubt that where could that mistake be, then you will discuss. Okay, that's the thing. If you know that there's a problem, then correct the problem. If you don't know, then you discuss and you verify what the problem is and then solve it.
Okay, but if explicitly he says that I need an email, so meet or still collaborate, meet.
I mean, if you say that I need an email, send them an email. And there's nothing wrong with that. A customer wants email, why would you go and talk to them?
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you, Amit.
Any other question, anyone, before we go for a break? All right, so let us go for a break, 10 minutes. When we come back, we'll look at terms which are helpful in execution of agile projects. Now we will talk about the terms that we use while we are executing the work, okay, or when we're doing the project work in agile approach. Let's start with the first one. This is one term that you might see, and probably you will see in the exam, which is called cadence. Okay. Cadence is the frequency of delivery, nothing else. Okay, so when they say when they talk about cadence, delivery cadence, they will talk about the frequency at which there will be some delivery in the project. If you're talking about traditional approach, there could be multiple phases. If you're talking about agile approach, there will be multiple releases. Okay, that is what is called cadence. Cadence helps us in creating a rhythm. Okay, that every 2 weeks we will build an increment. It's a rhythm, right? Every 2 weeks, same number of story points are getting completed. That is what is called cadence. If at all you see this, I mean, if not, if at all, you will see this in exam. It will mean the frequency of delivery. Servant leadership, the whole exam will be overloaded with servant leadership. Right? Exam will ooze out servant leadership, if at all. Right? It is overloaded with servant leadership. What does that mean? It means that you should know that as a project manager, it serves you best if you are a servant leader. What does the servant leader mean? Servant leader means that you are helping your team by serving them. Okay, helping them remove the problems, talk to them about the vision, okay, provide them all the tools and techniques that they need. That is what a servant leader does. Right? So this image that we had seen in our training program, very, very important. This lady is a servant leader, carries food and water, communicates the vision, shields from interruption, removes the roadblock. These are the 4 duties of a servant leader. This is what will be tested in the exam. You have to identify that, yes, this option is talking about this particular duty. So if there is an option that says that you would help the team in resolving the problem, what are you doing? You are removing the roadblocks. If an option says that you are discussing with the customer or the key stakeholder, okay, to communicate or to tell them that they should not be talking directly to the team about any new request, any new feature or anything. What are you doing? You are shielding them from interruption. If the option says that you are talking and you are collaborating and you are discussing in a meeting on what is expected out of the team or expected out of the project, what are you doing? You are communicating the vision to them. If an option says that you are discussing with their team about the tools and techniques which are required by them and you are providing them that, or you are talking to a functional manager, you are talking to a resource manager and arranging these tools and infrastructure for your team, what are you doing? You are carrying food and water. Right? So ultimately, it will revolve around all those things, all those 4 duties. Shield the team from interruptions, remove the roadblocks, talk to them about the vision, the goal, why they are doing what they are doing, and provide them everything that they need to complete the job. That is the duty. Those are the duties of servant leader. Then, who is a servant leader? The project manager, definitely. Scrum Master is also a servant leader, specifically used in Scrum framework. Okay, the role of a Scrum Master is to ensure that the Scrum principle, Agile principles, Agile frameworks, the mindset is being followed by the team. So helping the team as a servant leader is the duty of Scrum Master. Scrum Master is the team lead specifically used in Scrum framework. If they talk about Scrum Master, they are talking about the servant leader itself. You can answer all the questions in the same aspect. Then there's another term called Flow Master. Okay, typically used in Kanban. In Scrum, you use Scrum Master. In Kanban, typically I said typically, but it is very rarely used. Okay, typically you will have a Scrum Master, you will call them Agile Coach, you will call them Project Manager, something of that sort. Flow Master is not that frequently used, but it means the same thing. They help ensure that the flow remains. Right? So Scrum Master will help ensure that the Scrum methodology, Scrum framework, Scrum principles are followed. Flow Master would help ensure that all the Kanban principles are followed. Okay, this person is stuck, this person is busy, this person is sitting idle. The Flow Master will ensure that everybody has some job and the flow is proper. Product owner, business analyst. Okay, These are both the things mean the same: product master, product manager, or you can say salesperson, right? Their responsibility is to bring requirements from the customer, tell the team members what is the priority. So their role or their responsibility is to ensure that the product which is being built always contains the highest value first. So they have to ensure that the delivery team, development team delivers maximum value to the business. Because they'll talk to the stakeholders, bring the requirements, talk to the team members, get the job done. Service request manager is another term that you might see in the exam. It almost means the same thing. Generally used in Kanban environment, but it is equivalent to product owner. So they're bringing the service request and giving to the team. See, sometimes what may happen that you're not developing a product, but you have an agile team who is solving the problem. There are change requests, CRs are coming in, service requests are coming in, and you're only handling that. At that point of time, you will be called a service request manager. Specifically, ultimately, the role is still the product owner. Okay, designation could be anything. The role is still of product owner. Daily stand-up. Okay, every day in the morning, the team will come, meet for 10 to 15 minutes and discuss what they have planned for the day. They will discuss 3 questions. What was the plan for yesterday? What all could they complete? And the problems that they faced, and what will they do today? Right? What was the plan for yesterday? What was the problems they faced? What will they do today? Everybody, one by one, will talk about it. The Scrum Master standing here, okay, will note down everything that the team members have said about the problems. And then after the meeting, we'll talk about the problems with them. Within the meeting, only the team members will speak one by one. Whatever they have to say, they will say, and they'll go. Nothing else happens in daily stand-up. It's a very, very common, would say, trap that PMP puts in the options. They will say, discuss the problem during next daily stand-up meeting. Or bring this team member into this next daily stand-up meeting to talk about whatever new discovery that they have made. We don't do all those things in daily stand-up meeting. Daily stand-up meeting is about the team members to share whatever they had planned for the day, so that every other team members also understands who is doing what. Okay. Then, whenever you are doing the work, whenever you are collaborating in Agile, although when we talk about Agile, we talk a lot about software. But whenever you talk about collaboration, stay away from the software. The more you can stay away from the software, more you can stay away from the electronics, the better your communication will be. Face-to-face is the best way to communicate. Face-to-face with a whiteboard where you can write and they can also write, even better. Okay, so the idea is low on technology, high on touch and feel. So Swanand was asking a question, right? That sometimes it is very confusing where to share the report or do something else, or show the product or discuss. What should we do? If it is involving high touch and feel, it should be a correct choice. I'm not saying it will always be, okay, but generally it is a better choice, because that's what helps you in communicating your ideas, showing the product. You want to purchase a mobile phone. Somebody gave you a 1-hour video on a mobile phone. Somebody gave you a 200 pages of document on a mobile phone. Okay, or somebody has called you in a meeting room and they are discussing about what are the benefits of mobile phone. Compared to that, they have given the mobile phone in your hand and you are now using it. What is better? It is always better to look at the product, have the touch and feel, use it. If you like it, purchase it. If you don't like it, leave it. Right? That is what is applicable everywhere in terms of communication. Whatever kind of communication you are adding, whichever option is adding more touch and feel, that option is better. Less technology, it is much better. Why do we say that? See, just imagine what happens with technology. Right? We are having a meeting, okay? And instead of having a meeting without the laptops, we are having our laptops also here. People would intend to always check their mail, check their work while the meeting is happening. Meeting will not be efficient. If there is only one person who is using laptop just to capture the minutes of meeting, then also it's not a good thing. because then this person is not involved in the meeting. They're only capturing the minutes of meeting. It is always better to have high touch and feel, which means just have pen, paper, write it down there. And then this might be a rough thing that you have just doodled, convert it into fair, convert it properly, and then share it across. Right? So always better to have high touch and feel. Whatever option talks about high touch and feel is generally a better thing in Agile. Why? Because Agile is built on uncertainties. If you don't meet face-to-face, clarity will be less. If you don't show the product, clarity will be less. Right? Hence, collaboration, showing the product, discussing, coming to the information aggregator, and then talking about it is always better because we are talking about uncertain conditions. Cross-functional teams, whenever you are trying to build an Agile team, try to see that you have people with different skill sets. Cross-functional team means group of people of different skill sets who can come together and build the product. Okay, rather than having people from the same type of understanding. Always try to have diverse set of people in your team. Co-located teams means team members sitting together. Okay, how close? Just at an arm's distance. If they are on the same floor also, but one person is in one corner, another person is in another corner altogether, it's not a co-located team. If for talking you have to use a technology, mobile phone, Slack or anything, then it is not a co-located team. Co-located team means located at the same location. Okay, working together within arm's distance. Okay, within 6 feet, within 6 feet, the other person should be there. Right? So if they're sitting in the same cubicle, if they're sitting in the same area, then only it is called co-located. Not on same floor, not on same building, not in same city. That is not co-located. Idea of co-located is lost. The minute if you have to talk, you pick up phone or video call or chat, idea of co-located is lost. Idea of co-located is that you should be able to talk to one another face to face. Okay? That is what is called co-located teams. All right. Yes, Mr. Ravi, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. That's
Yes.
cross-functional team. So in our, we are doing predictive project. All are, we are doing predictive and all are direction engineers or planning engineers. Sometimes we take help of design. So cross-functional teams, as you said, can it be one person from design, one person from
yes,
purchase,
absolutely like that.
Or this is what is my perception. But where we work, there are very less chances that designer would come or purchase would come. They are sitting in the head office and we are at the project. So how cross-functional team is involved in such things?
They are still a team, but they are not co-located. Okay, so team is still a team. You can have people in different country also, but they could still be a part of your team. Right? So they are still a cross-functional team. They are from different backgrounds sitting together. Yes, in that case, you will have to use virtual team. Right? You will have to do video conferencing rather than doing face-to-face. It is not possible. So it is a scenario that you have. Preferable scenario would have been that all of them are together. If they're a part of project, then all of them are together. When the design phase is going on, the site engineer and all should be able to come to designer and discuss with them. Okay, whatever the discussion has to happen. This is what is preferable. But if it is not possible, then we can do video conference as well. So whatever we are discussing as best practices is best practice. For general scenario, for a specific scenario, we'll have to find out an alternative. But there's still cross-functionality.
This scenario is irrespective of organizational setup because our organizational setup is a weak matrix type.
Yes.
So, no.
Doesn't matter. We have to have. We must have
control. Okay.
Yes, we must have cross-functional team. See, the idea of cross-functional team is that you should have people who have different skill sets. Okay. Let us say they both are from the planning department. Okay. One person is good technically, other person is good in communication. That is also a cross-functional team.
Okay.
Okay, it is adding to the diversity. That is what we should look for.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes, Kirti, please go ahead.
Does cross-functional and T-shape mean same?
Okay. So T-shape is for individual. One person.
Okay.
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 Cross-functional is team. So one person having multiple skills, then we call them T-shaped. One person having expertise in only one skill, then we call them I-shaped. When you mix I-shape and T-shape, then you build what is called cross-functional.
Got it. So when in Agile we set cross-functional, it is people who are skilled in different things. Team.
T-type.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So co-located teams located together, okay, in the same cubicle. I'm repeating this, not on the same floor, not on the same building. If they're in the same building, they're not co-located. Co-located means they should be able to look around, move their head and see that person and talk to that person. Okay, that is what is mean co-located. Another term is called collective code ownership. Okay, see, this idea revolves around collective ownership. Whatever you do in Agile, and you will see these questions also in the exam, not asking your definition of collective code ownership, but the idea. The idea is that whatever the team members are doing, they are owning it as a team. The team loses, the team wins. Okay, World Cup happens, the team loses, the team wins. Doesn't matter who has scored what in those games. What matters is whether the team won or not. So it is a collective ownership. The idea of collective ownership is that one should be in the team, one should be aggressive, one could be a little bit less aggressive, and they could complement each other. Right? In the team also, when we talk about sports, this is what we are talking about. When we talk about team also, there should be team members who can support one another. That is why the idea of collective team comes together. In this particular slide, we are talking about code ownership. So we are saying that whatever code is written by whoever, the whole team owns it. So anything is wrong in that code, the whole team is responsible for it. Anything is right in that code, the whole team should get the benefit of it. Right? So what would happen with that? One person will write the code, other person will check it. This person who has written the code will check the other person's code. So the team will work together. Everybody would know what is there, where it is, so that one person is absent, anybody could correct those codes. Okay, specifically used in software because it's talking about code, but the idea is used anywhere. Okay, the idea is of collective ownership, whether it is for code or whether it is for result. Okay, so whenever they talk about a question where they are saying you are moving from traditional to agile, one option which talks about moving from individual perspective to collective perspective or team perspective is always better. Okay, so in agile, we are looking for collective ownership, not individual ownership. Okay, another term that you might see is called mobbing. Okay, as you can see in the image, what is happening here? There is one work being done by 5 people. Okay, not a good idea if you build it on traditional mindset. It's like they're wasting time, or probably they're watching a match or doing something else. This is what comes to our mind. But think about uncertain conditions. Right? Think about unknown areas. Think about where the team members, all of them are stuck, but together they will be able to solve it. Okay, so when there is a work where the team members are stuck, the person who was assigned the job is not able to solve it, and another person is not able to help it, but they believe that the team, when they come together, they will be able to solve the problem, do the work, not solve the problem, do the work. Then it is called mobbing. Okay, as a mob, as a gang, they will come together and they'll complete the work. Okay, again, collective ownership. That collective perspective is very, very important. One more term is fishbowl windows. Okay, fishbowl windows is like, okay, what is a fishbowl? I'm very, very bad at drawing. I don't know why. I'm not able to learn. Okay, so this is a fish bowl, let's say, for example, and there are fishes inside. Okay, it's generally of a glass. So whoever is standing outside the fish bowl, they will be able to look at the bowl. And the fishes will also be able to look outside completely. Right? This is what we are trying to create in our agile team scenario when we have virtual teams. So whenever you have virtual teams, what do? You keep a system, a bigger screen wherever the team members are working, preferably with a video cam. Okay, there's a webcam, there's a system, People who are working in some other city, in some other office, you guys are able to see them and they are able to see you continuously from 9 to 5. If your job is 9 to 5, which is very rare these days. So maybe from 8 to 7 or 8 to 8 or whatever it is. Okay, or maybe 9 to 11 or 12, or there's no any time for your office. You always come late, whatever it is. But till the time you are there in the office, the video cam and the monitor is always on, so that whenever you want to talk to them, you can just press a button here. The mic will start, there the speaker will start, and you can talk directly. So it is kind of replicating a scenario where it feels like they are also working with you. That is what is called fishbowl window, trying to create a window of opportunity where you can discuss with them real time. So they're doing their work, you are doing your work. Whenever you want to communicate, you can very quickly do that. Rather than trying to, so what is the advantage? Advantage is, see, if you don't have a fishbowl window, what will happen? You will send them a meeting request. You will suggest a Zoom meeting call or Teams meeting or whatever it is, right? You will set that call up, then you will log into it, then the system will not work, then it will take some time. So that startup time will take a lot, and the team needs to have 4 or 5 things to discuss. Only then they'll set up a meeting. If you have a fishbowl window, even if you have 1 point, you can very quickly talk to them, and there's no setup time and all those things. So you will not lose out on time. That's why you spend some money and you create this opportunity provided to your team. Generalizing specialists, individuals in your team. I-shaped people are those who have expertise in one area. T-shaped people are those who have expertise in one area and they also know other areas well. There should be a mix of both in your team. You should prefer more of T-type in Agile because they will be able to support in multiple changes also. So later, if you realize that only one particular type of work is coming, they will be able to handle it. If that particular type changes also, they will still be able to handle it. Okay, so it is always better to have more of T type of people and a mix of I and T type of people for your team. I means depth of knowledge. T means that person has depth of knowledge and breadth of knowledge as well. Then another term is called caves and common. Okay, the name itself suggests caves means these are the caves, your cubicles, where people can sit alone, focus like a saint does in a cave. Okay, they are focused, they are doing meditation, nobody is disturbing them. So team members are also focused in this cave, they are doing their work. Common is a common area where collaboration happens. So if what you should do is you should provide them both the caves and common area, which means give them cubicles, give them their own workstations, and keep an area for collaboration as well. So when they want to do focused work, they will go to the caves, which means their workstations, and they'll complete the job. When they want to discuss with team members, they'll just pull in their chair in a common area and they'll start discussing. So it will help in focused work and collaboration both. So whenever you are building a workspace for your team, whenever you are designing workspace for your team, always try to have both caves and commons. Osmotic communication. See, what happens is when the team members are sitting together, when the team members are co-located, let us say this person has no work or no dependency on what these people are doing. But still, because this person is sitting next to them, whatever they would speak, somehow something will go to their ears. Okay, and this communication is called osmotic communication. Okay, so you are here, there are 2 people who are discussing about them. You are not, currently it is not related to you. Okay, and it is not going to, you are not required to be there in that discussion. But still, because these team members are discussing about so many things, you will also be able to acquire some of the knowledge, which probably will help you later. And that is why we try to keep a diverse set of team and keep them all together. So that even if they are not talking very often, but because some other team members are talking, they will be able to learn about that. So when these two members will talk, this person will learn. When these two members will talk, this person will learn. When these two members will talk, this person will learn. So everybody learns about something or the other, and together the whole team becomes better. That is what is called osmotic communication, which is not a direct communication, but it happens because you are physically present where somebody else is communicating. Tacit knowledge. Okay, knowledge is of two types. One is explicit and one is tacit. Okay, explicit means something which can be recorded. Manuals, documents, videos, database, memos, articles, everything is a way of sharing knowledge which can be easily seen. That is what is explicit, right? This is what you see. Tacit is something which is very, very important, but it is not visible. Your beliefs, your attitude, your behavior, right? And it can only be transferred by working together. You cannot record it somewhere that, okay, this is my belief, this is my attitude, take it. It will not happen. So the way you work, your behavior, your attitude will be shared if you are working together. Right? So tacit knowledge is a knowledge that is not easy to share, but must be shared. Hence, as a project manager, you should create opportunities where people can work together so that they can learn from one another. Gulf of evaluation. Gulf means gap. Okay, so there was information being shared, then there was a gap, and then it was received somewhere else. Okay? So gulf of evaluation is that I want to say something. You heard it, but you did not understand 100% of it. It could be a gap in my explaining. It could be a gap in your understanding. You said something, I did not understand it fully, which means there was a gap in me understanding or there was a gap in you explaining. The gap in my understanding is called gulf of evaluation. I was not able to evaluate the points that you were talking about properly. You were not able to evaluate the points that I was talking properly. Right? And it always happens. Okay, we are going to talk about 100 concepts today. Probably you will remember 70, 80 of them when you see it next time. 15, 20 would still remain. That is what is called the gap. And it happens everywhere. Okay, if you have played a game called Chinese Whisper, then you know that whatever you say is not exactly what the other person understands. Right? That is what is called gulf of evaluation. This is one very typical image that you might see everywhere. Right? This is what the customer explained. This is what the team designed. And ultimately, this is what the customer needed. So what the customer explained, there's a gap. What the team understood, there's a gap. And what they wanted is something else completely. It's a very typical scenario. Gulf of evaluation means gap in understanding what was communicated. Why is this important to know? Because you know that every time the information will be shared with you, there will be a gap. So you will find out more opportunities to discuss the same thing again and again and again. You will do live classes, you will share a book, you will share recorded videos, you will have revision sessions, so as to ensure that whatever is being discussed, it is discussed multiple times so that the information is shared properly. That is why we have multiple ways of providing the information in this training program. That is why you should also have multiple ways of sharing the information in your team as well. Continuous integration. Okay, the name itself suggests that there would be some integration that would happen continuously. What is that integration? See, every iteration, you are building some product increment. You are building some part of the product. That iteration is over, which means that part of the product is ready. Another iteration over, another part of the product is ready. One more iteration, one more part of the product is ready. Now, these parts of the product should get integrated together. So what happens in software is that they build a system where it automatically gets integrated together. That is what is called continuous integration. Okay, so for PMP exam, you don't have to dive deep into it. Don't try to go deeper into it if it is not about project management. Okay, continuous integration is very, very specific to software. Hence, the chances are less that you will see it, but still, because we are talking about all the concepts, let's cover everything. Right? So continuous integration is an idea where whatever component of the product is built should get automatically integrated. and should get continuously integrated so that we don't have a situation where we have done 10 iterations, we have 10 different components, and now when we are integrating it, we are facing problems. Right? That is why continuous integration helps us. So one increment build, another increment build, integrated together. So that any issue that has to happen, you will come to know within 2 iterations itself. Otherwise, you will have to wait till 10 iterations. When you are combining all the 10 increments, then you will see the problem and you will see a lot of problems. Right? It revolves back to the same principle. Quick feedback. That is why we have iteration duration small, and that is why we should also do continuous integration. So that any problem related to integration, you are able to identify as early as possible. There's one term called spike. Okay, spike is generally taking some time out to solve the problem the team could not solve during normal iteration. So team members are developing some user stories and they face some problem. And they realize that they cannot solve the problem now. They need a lot of research, they need a lot of work around. So what will they do? In the next iteration, they will say that we will not build anything. We will not take up any new user story. First, we will solve this problem, and then we will start our iteration again. So they will take a break from building the product increments. And that break is to solve the problem that they are facing, because they are facing problem in a higher value item. If they stop that and they say, okay, we are facing a problem, we'll not build it, we'll build something else, it will not be good for the product. Right? So it will take some time, but they will first solve the problem and then they will start their normal sprint again. That is what is called spike. One term is called fast failure. It's a concept, it's a mindset that whatever you do, if it has to go wrong, you should come to know about it as early as possible. If you have spent a lot of time and then you realize, okay, probably this was wrong, then it's a waste. Right? So whatever we do, we keep our iteration duration small, we talk to our team members daily, we discuss, we show the product, we have feedback, we have collaboration, so that whatever mistake has happened, somebody or other will be able to identify it, which means we will be failing fast. Okay, so very important mindset to have. Whatever option talks about fast failure would be a better option. Iteration or sprint review. At the end of the sprint, at the end of the iteration, the team members have completed some product component. That component would be shown to the product owner. That product owner or customer will look at the product, they will review the product that is completed in the iteration or sprint. That is what is called iteration or sprint review. Iteration or sprint retrospective. This is where we are not looking at the product. We are not checking whether the product is running properly or not. That happened in sprint review. Now we are talking about retrospective, which means we are looking back at how we did the things and how we can improve in the next cycle, how we can build a better product, how we can follow better processes, how we can improve our people. Right? So retrospective is about continuous improvement. Retrospective is about how we can improve in the next iteration, while review was about checking the product, whether it is working well or not. Okay. Yes, Avinash, please go ahead.
Amit, you mentioned regarding the spike, right? If there is any issues which we want to solve, we'll take it up in the next iteration, right? But that particular feature is designed to go in that particular sprint because it is valuable. Right. So why don't we solve it there only? Then we go ahead.
Okay, see, we are not able to solve it. That's why we are doing it in the next iteration. So we are not saying that we will stop it and we'll do something else. We are in this sprint also, we are trying to solve it, but because it is not happening and our iteration is getting completed, so we are saying that in the next iteration, let us not take anything extra. Okay, this is what we are doing. So I'll give you an example. On Wednesday, we faced the problem. Okay, so we started solving it. On Thursday, we realized that, okay, we will not be able to solve it even on Friday. We need more time. So on Thursday, you told the product owner that we are facing this problem. And in the next iteration, we will not take up any new user story. First, we will solve this problem and only then we will take up new user stories. That is what we are doing.
Got it. Thank you.
So we are solving the problem as we are seeing it. We are not delaying it.
So this means that the spike cannot happen in the same iteration.
Sometimes it is possible if it is a small thing, okay, but generally spike is used as a sprint. Okay, so you say that, okay, in the sprint we will not take new user stories and then we'll do spike. The idea of spike is being used by many agile teams within the iteration also. So when they solve a problem, they call it spike. So they say that, okay, all the team members, let's come together, let's conduct a spike, let us solve the problem. So spike has been started used as problem solving also, but the main reason of meaning of spike is that in the next iteration you are not doing a job, you are only solving problems. But practically people have started using it as a problem solving time. So even if you think it as a problem solving time, it will not make your question wrong. You'll still be able to answer it.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Then one more term, technical debt. Okay, it's a debt of work, which means it's a piling of work that happens because we have not been using standard method. Okay, so what is this idea? This is like everybody writes code, okay, or do their work. So they do work in a particular fashion which they feel comfortable with. So they'll keep on writing the code. Okay, and then they will check whether it is running or not. If it is running, they will start writing a next line of codes for next feature. Now, what happens while they are continuously writing the code is that if you look at this code or if somebody else looks at the code, they will not be able to understand what was written. And it's very typical of software engineers who write codes. Okay, so what is done is that once they have written the code and once they have identified that yes, it is running well, they need to make it proper, which means they need to give some headings to the code. Then they should divide it into multiple blocks. Then they should give some comments here, what this code is about, what this following code is about. Everything should be maintained and mentioned properly, so that a third person, when looks at the code, they are able to understand what it is. When this person who was a coder leaves the job or is absent for some time, anybody else should be able to resolve the problems that this code could create. If it is in this fashion, they will not be able to understand. So they will take a lot of time in understanding the code, and then only any third person will be able to solve it. Not the third person. The person who has written the code also will find it very difficult to solve the problem. That's why they should make it in a standardized format, in a template format, so that anybody who looks at the code, they are able to understand it. Now, this is one page, this is another page, this is third page, this is fourth page. The person kept on writing the code, but they didn't standardize it. So they have created a technical debt for themselves. Here they had only one page to standardize. Now they have multiple pages to standardize. Multiple lines of code, multiple units of code that they have written is required to be analyzed. So their debt is continuously rising. What happens with continuously debt rising? The chances that you face a problem increases, and chances that when you face a problem, you'll be able to not solve the problem also increases. That is why we should avoid technical debt. Okay, that is why we should instruct, or we should discuss, or we should influence, lead, or motivate our team members to continuously standardize the codes. Okay, continuously make it in a way that it is better to understand. Now, you will say that why are we allowing the team to write in this fashion? Why can't we say that this is the template and this is how you have to write the code? Because coding, although it might not sound like that, it's a kind of creative work as well. You are trying to decide a solution. Okay, and you need to be free of other things. You need to focus only on the code to build that solution. Okay, once the solution is built, then you can give it any form, size, and shape. That is why we let the developers think in their fashion. Okay, let them be comfortable. That is why they come in t-shirts and shorts to office. Let them be comfortable so that they can write beautiful, not beautiful, they can write creative codes good solutions, and then convert them into beautiful templates. Okay, so if they are not doing it, then they are raising their technical debt, which means it will create problem later. There will be problem, they will not be able to solve. So what should they do is called refactoring. So refactoring is cleaning the code regularly, maintaining the code regularly. That is what is called refactoring. Okay, so refactoring is a disciplined technique to ensure that whatever codes, whatever work that they have done is now standardized in a better fashion. So continuously maintaining things is called refactoring. Cost of change is a term that we know. Okay, the idea of cost of change is that if there has to be a change, it should happen as early as possible, which means we should check our work multiple times in the project, because if the time increases, the cost will increase exponentially. While you are doing the work, if your team member can see and tell you that something is wrong, there is no loss of time or cost. But if you have completed the work and you are showing it to the product owner and they found out the mistake, you will have to redo a lot of work, lot of cost, lot of effort. If the customer sees it, then even more cost, even more effort. Right? So the idea is that we should do collaborative work and we should be able to reduce the cost of change to the minimum. Okay, cost of change is the cost that would get incurred by any change in the project. Yes, Anjali, please go ahead.
Can you please explain the refactoring again?
Refactoring? Okay.
Yeah.
Refactoring is maintenance of the code. Okay. Now, because you're from automobile industry, so when we drive car, okay, we drive it in a certain way. But what do? Every 3 months or 6 months, we try to maintain that car. Go to the maintenance team, change the engine oil and everything, do a proper maintenance so that the car can run properly, so that you don't face unwanted breakdowns. Right? And when that breakdown happens, you have not maintained the car, it will take a lot of time to correct also. Right? So maintaining regularly your car is a part of refactoring. So in software, what happens is when people write code, they need to maintain it. Okay, if they don't maintain it, they will have a technical debt. And the act of maintaining that code is called refactoring. So act of cleaning your code is called refactoring.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
So those were our execution terms. Any question, anyone? Anything that you want to discuss from whatever we have discussed so far? Okay. If not, then let's take a break, okay, of 10 minutes. When we come back, we'll talk about measurement terms. And depending on how many terms we cover, we will either take a break and then talk about agile methodologies, or we'll continue about measurement terms. Okay. So first, frequent verification. Okay. So whenever the team is doing the work, you should have an opportunity presented to them to check their work regularly and frequently. Okay, as early as possible, we should be able to check. That is what is called frequent verification. The idea is that frequent verification will keep our cost down. While doing collaborative work, within seconds, the team will find out if there is a mistake. If they do some work and get it checked by a peer-to-peer review of the work that they have done, within hours, they will come to know if there is some mistake. Okay. Then when they complete a particular user story and they show it to the product owner, within days, they will come to know about any mistake that is happening. So there should be multiple ways of having frequently verifying whether whatever the team members are doing is correct or not. That is what is called frequent verification. Then user testing. Okay, so when you are testing whether the users will need what you are building or not, then it is called user testing. Okay, so you are testing whether the users need your product. So you build a pen, will the user need it? Okay, or are they happy writing on laptop, writing on their mobile phone? Right? That is what is called user testing. Right? You're testing whether the user needs your product or not. Usability testing, however, is testing whether they will be able to use it or not. Understand the difference. Okay. User testing, you are testing whether they need your product or not. Usability testing, you are testing whether your product is usable or not. Which means, will they be able to use it? Whatever complicated system that you have created, will they be able to use it or not? Or should you make it very simple? That is what is called usability testing. Then you might see a term called smoke testing. See, all these terms, chances are less that you will see in the exam. But if you see it, you should feel confident that yes, we know this. Okay, only for that reason. Otherwise, as I was repeating in traditional, it is all about mindset, decision making, problem solving that would happen in the exam. Okay. Now coming to smoke testing. Smoke testing is like testing just for a little bit. Okay. Something we create, some very small things we create, and we create a test, very small test, so that we can know about the most essential things, whether they are working or not. And then we carry out further tests and further development. That is what is called smoke testing. Testing very initially whether it will work or not. Okay. So for example, if you decide to provide PMP training in future, okay, what would be a smoke test like? You conduct a webinar and see whether people are joining or not. If they are joining, whether they are giving good feedback or not. Conduct few webinars. Okay, that will be your smoke test. And then you can continue to build your training program and further and further. Okay. Yes, Ketki, please go ahead.
Amit, these tests, what we are discussing, they are done by launching a minimum viable product into the market. Like, how do we test them?
See, these are testing that will be done by the team itself in the beginning itself. Okay. Launching the minimum viable product is like we have already gone to the customer end.
Okay.
That is the testing that is being done for the idea viability. Okay. Before that, you would want to check multiple things that you will do within the team itself.
So this is done within the
team. The features that you will test would be minimum only, but it will not go to the customer.
Okay, so the team itself does it, right? All these three what we discussed.
Yes, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Then there's another. Yeah, please go.
Excuse me. Where the smoke test is applicable? Exactly. When?
See, when you want to very quickly test whatever you are doing is proper or not. As I said, you want to launch a product into the market. Okay. Before deciding or building everything, you build the most important thing and you tested it. Okay. That is what is called smoke testing. Is it working in the way that we intended or not? To quickly check it, and then you can further keep on doing it, keep on building the product, keep on testing in more detail. When you want to test the most important idea quickly, that is where we do smoke testing.
So is it similar to prototyping?
Prototyping would be a way of creating the smallest version of the product, and then when you test it, it could be considered as smoke testing. Could be similar, not exactly, but yes, the idea is same, that we should be able to test as early as possible.
Okay.
Then automated code quality analysis. Okay, whatever the code has been written, if you want to analyze the quality of that code, what you do is you write another code which will keep on testing the code quality. That is what is called automated code quality analysis. Yes, Monique, please go ahead.
Okay, please, I would like you to come back to the smoke testing. There's a big confusion on my side, and I would need your support to clarify. It's talking about the smoke testing. You said that we have to check if it is working the way it is intended, right? Mm-hmm. If what we are doing so far is working the way it's intended, can we compare what is the difference between? No, you say smoke testing, so it's also what the difference between a smoke testing and how do you say? What is the difference between smoke testing and the? It's giving my mind. Sorry, I'll come back. I'll come back with the word. The word is not coming.
Are you talking about prototyping? Or are you talking about minimum viable?
No, not the prototyping. No, not the prototyping, because the prototype is always about something that is supposed to be exactly as the scope as planned, as put in the scopes. But here we are testing So there's a word I wanted to emphasize on it to make difference with smooth testing, but when I come back, I will let you know. I'll contact you for that. Sorry.
You can put the chat box, and then when I stop, and we'll take that. No problems. Okay, so we were talking about automated code quality analysis. Okay, it's like we have already written a code, and we want to check the quality of that code, but we don't want to sit again and then check the quality of code. So you write another code which will automatically check the code quality. Okay, this is very, very common these days. Whenever you write the code, you automatically get a warning if something is not in the proper form.
Amit, just a question.
Please.
Yeah, Anjali this side.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, this automated code quality is only related to the software domain.
Yes. So there are some few things where you see the code term written. Okay, these are particular to software domain. We learn it and we capture the idea from it. Okay, the idea is that whenever we are working, you should be able to test while the work is happening itself. Okay, so in traditional scenarios, let us say that we are cutting some metal. Okay, and if you are cutting the metal, then it might happen that there could be some issue, some corrosion that might happen because we are working in a particular environment. So the cutting of the metal, that metal piece will be used in a particular environment. Okay, now when will you come to know about the corrosion? When you put that metal piece in that environment, but it will be probably too late for that. Okay, that it has gone to the customer condition environment, and then we'll come to know about whether the corrosion happens or not. So what do? We create a corrosive environment within our factory itself, and then we cut the metal. Within that environment itself, we are cutting the metal. So what happens? If the corrosion happens, we'll come to know immediately within the first cut itself, whatever time it takes for corrosion. Right? So that's the idea of testing all these things. The idea is while doing the work itself, we should be able to know if there is any mistake. Right? Important term, velocity. Okay, velocity is number of story points completed in an iteration. Okay, number of story points completed in an iteration, not number of user story, not number of stories, number of story points completed in a user story. So if I have completed 3 user story, every user story will have some story points, 5, 8, and 13, let's say, for example. So 5 plus 8 plus 13, 26 story point is what I have completed in my iteration, which means my velocity is 26 story points. How many stories that I have completed? 3 user stories. But that is not my velocity. My velocity is story points completed in the iteration. Yes, Anjali, go ahead.
Who decides the story points?
Team. Okay, so team will sit, discuss with the product owner, discuss how difficult, how easy is the story, and then they will estimate the story points.
But it's just a number that team divide individually itself, like for this task 10, 20, like that.
Yes,
there is no
it's not 10, 20. It's typically these numbers, okay, which comes from Fibonacci series 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34 comes by adding the previous 2 numbers. 8 plus 13 is 21, 13 plus 21 is 34, right? 21 plus 34, the next number will be 55. Okay, and these
it depend upon the easiness or the task.
Yes. So how easy or difficult the team thinks the task is, depending on that, they will assign that number. Okay. Then burn up chart. Okay. Burn up chart means the chart would tend to go up. When will things go up? When you keep adding something to it. And what do we add here? Story points. Okay. So burn up chart tells us how many story points have been completed. So day by day, whatever story point the team members are completing, you are continuously adding, and hence the chart is going up. Right? That is what burn up chart is. How many story points have been completed? Burn down chart, okay, something which is going down. When will things go down? when you keep removing something from it. Right? And what are we removing? Story points. So we are saying that in the beginning, we had 120 story points to be done. Whatever story points the team completes, we'll keep on removing it as per the time. And hence it will go down. This is called burn down chart. Both the burn up and burn down chart will be compared with the plan. Okay, so in the red, you have a plan. In the green is your actual. So whether you are behind schedule or you are ahead schedule, whether you are behind schedule or you are ahead of schedule, you will come to know through this chart. Okay, so if your plan was to have only 80 points remaining at the third sprint, but you have 100 story points remaining, which means you are behind schedule. At the end of fourth iteration, your plan was that there will be 60 story points remaining, but your actual is that there are only 20-30 story points remaining, which means you are ahead of schedule. Right? This is what burn up and burn down chart is. Burn up chart means how many story points have been completed. Burn down chart means how many story points are remaining. Then we have variance analysis. Okay, variance means difference. Okay, so we are trying to understand the variation between plan and actual. That is what is called variance analysis. Not only for Agile, it is applicable anywhere. Whatever variation is happening, if you are analyzing that, it is called variance analysis. Trend analysis is checking something regularly, right? So that you can get a trend. So how many clarifications do we need from the customer? Is it going up or is it going down? How many defects are happening in the project? Is it going up or is it going down? How much time are we taking in resolving the defects? Is it going up? Is it going down? So for 6 months, for 1 year, you'll keep on trying to build that trend so that you come to know about a trend. Is it going up or down? That analysis of that trend is called trend analysis. Okay. Any trend you put on the chart for a considerable amount of period of time, you will get to see the trend. And while you are analyzing that trend, whether it is going up or down or remaining same, that is called trend analysis. Control limits are the limits within which your actual result should be. Okay, so whenever you are measuring something, you would have a result. Now that result you will compare with the plan. Okay, when you are creating a plan, you will always have some tolerance limit. For example, you said that we will build something which will be 10 mm thick. Okay, now what happens? People, machine, everything makes error, and it is not possible to get 10 mm every time. Sometimes it will be 10 mm plus 0.1. Sometimes it will be 10 mm minus 0.1. Okay, sometimes it will be 9.99. Sometimes it will be 9.9. So which one is acceptable? Is 9.99 acceptable or is 9.9 also acceptable? This is decided by the control limits. So you decide an upper limit and you decide a lower limit. So you will say that yes, we are trying to build a 10 mm thing. If it is 10.5 mm and 9.5 mm, then we are okay if it is within this range. If it goes beyond that, then we will reject that piece. That is what is called control limit. Okay, so whenever you are capturing it, let's say, for example, you decided for your velocity of iteration. You said that if the velocity lies between 30 to 40 story points, we are okay. But if it goes beyond that, more than 40 or less than 30, then we should sit with our team and try to ask questions why it is happening. Okay, that is a control limit. Control limit is used in all the areas of measurement. Whenever you are measuring, whenever you are planning to attain certain value, you will always have an upper and control limit. Your result should lie between that. If it is lying between that, everything is acceptable. If it goes up or down, it is rejected. Information radiators are the space, or is the space where your team members are working, where you put all the information, the product backlog, burn up chart, burn down chart, trend analysis, control limits, everything you put on the wall so that people can come, stand in front of that and collaborate. Product owners, customers, Developers, stakeholders, everybody can come, stand together and look at the charts and analyze and discuss what should be done. Because this radiates the information, hence it is called information radiator. Another term to this could also be Scrum board. Same thing, used in Scrum framework. Okay, idea is same. The people should be able to come together and look at the information that is presented. Defect rates, as the name suggests, we are trying to understand how many defects are happening regularly. So we are looking at the rate of defects. On an average, what kind of defect do we get every month, every sprint, every iteration, every release? Whatever the timeline you want to capture, you are trying to capture what is the average rate of defects, average rate of complaints you are receiving from the customer. Continuous improvement is a term where we are looking at improving ourselves continuously. Okay, so we build a product, that product should keep on improving, keep on adding value. We are doing some work within as a team. Initially, we had a lot of conflict. Later, we will have less conflict. We are improving continuously. We did certain user story this way, certain user that way. Earlier, we faced a lot of challenges in finding and how to research and everything. Now we are getting better at it. So we are improving. Continuous improvement is a term which says that you should be able to improve continuously throughout the project. Value stream, okay, is capturing the flow of value. Okay, for example, let us say we purchased raw material. Okay, then in that raw material, some processing happened. Think about a metal sheet. Okay, then it was cut, it was put to a particular shape, then it was added, then it was gone, then went through machining process where we finished it properly. Okay, then all these pieces were assembled together, and now the finished product is ready. It will be delivered to customer. So what happened at every point of time? Some value was added. See, earlier it was just a metal sheet. Price probably $2 per kg. Right? Then what did you do? You did some cutting process. Let's say, for example, okay, now you have cut it into different shapes. It will now be used in certain machines. The value has increased. Then you did some machining, which means it was rough, you finished it properly, it looked nice, it has some gloss and reflection, all those things. It looks better now. Which means now it will, if it is used in the machine, it will have better value. Then what did you do? You used all these pieces together and then created a product. You assembled all the product. So now your machine is ready. Now when you sell it, okay, it could even be sold for $2,000 per kg. Although we will not sell it as per kg, but that is the value that you have added. $2 per kg has now become $200 per kg. Okay, this is the idea of whether you purchase a banana and sell the banana or sell the banana shake at 10 times the price. You add value to it. So when you are adding a value, adding value in the product, it goes through multiple steps. At every step, some value is added. This flow of value is called value stream. Okay, and analyzing this flow is called value stream analysis. And once you analyze it and put it on a chart, on a visual representation, it is called value stream mapping. So value stream mapping is understanding where all the values are getting added, capturing it and putting it on a piece of paper or anywhere you want to display it, so that you can identify what are the work that we are doing which is not adding value or which is adding less value. Can you remove that? So when you look at your value stream mapping and analyze what should be removed, what should be kept, is called value stream analysis. Okay, so value stream means flow. So we are looking at flow of value. How are we adding value to the product? Then when you capture this on a piece of paper or you want to display it somewhere, it is called value stream mapping. When you look at that value stream mapping and you try to identify what should be kept and what should be removed or what should be added, that is called value stream analysis. Okay, you may see this term in the exam for sure. Another term is called swarming. Okay, we had one term called mobbing that we saw. Okay, and we said that we had to complete a piece of work, and we called all the team members to solve that, to do that work. That is called mobbing. When you do the same thing to solve a problem, that is called swarming. Okay, again, all the team members are coming together to solve a problem. That is called swarming. When will the swarming happen? Probably during the spike. Okay, so everybody is coming together and they are trying to solve the problem. Look at this image. The Formula 1 car, okay, has come to the pit stop. Everybody is trying to solve some problem, solve the problem. That is called swarming. There's another term which is called A3, just A3. Okay, it comes from, it's an idea of problem solving. It comes from Toyota. Okay, a lot of things in Agile have come from Toyota. It comes from Toyota. What they used to do is they said, okay, if you face a problem, explain it, analyze it, solve it, everything on an A3 size of paper. Okay, A3 size of paper is double of A4. Okay, so on that paper, you should be able to write everything, discuss everything, and solve everything. So that with one look, everybody will be able to understand about the problem and solve it. Okay, that is what is called A3. A3, the reason it is called A3 is because we are using A3 size of paper to solve the problems. Right? Those were about measurements. Okay, velocity, burn up chart, burn down chart are very, very important. Okay, we should know about it. Other terms also, I would suggest that you go through the video one more time, one or two times more, just to use it as a revision. Other than that, focus more on mindset, focus more on solving the problems, focus more on questions and identifying where the gaps are. Okay, that is more important than these concepts. But if you know the concept, you will feel more confident. Now coming to different Agile methodologies. Okay, whenever you learn about Agile, you automatically start hearing the term Scrum, test-driven development, behavior-driven development, feature-driven development, safe, disciplined Agile, this, that. Okay, these are all different frameworks. These are all different methodologies. Okay, nothing will be tested in the exam in detail. Okay, other than Scrum and canban. Okay, but there are some concepts which are specific to these frameworks, which we will see. And we will also see what these methodologies are very briefly, just like we have seen everything else. Okay, just so that if at all you see that in the exam, you know what they're talking about. And that is all that is important. Nothing more than that is important. Okay, so let us have a look at it. Scrum, we already know, a project management framework. Okay, where we convert or we break down the whole project into number of sprints. Every sprint we build some increment, we review it, and we complete it, release by release. What is Scrum of Scrums then? Okay, in Scrum, you will have 6 to 9 members completing their work. Now, if you are doing a bigger project in your organization, that one 6 to 9 members team might not be able to build everything, and you will be delayed if you are working with only one team. So what will you do is, you will build multiple parallel teams. Okay, you will have team A, team B, and team C. They are all your Scrum teams. Now, every team will have a Scrum master. These Scrum masters put together will be a part of a team. This is what is called Scrum of Scrums. Okay, so these team will meet daily and they will discuss what their work is to be done. What is the work that they have planned. These Scrum masters will meet daily and they will discuss what is it that their team have planned on an overview level. So then you build a structure of Scrum. So all these Scrum teams, Scrum masters have one more Scrum. You can have multiple levels of that. You can have one more level of it. Okay, depending on how complex the project is, how complex you want to make it, and how you want to scale the same idea of Scrum on bigger project as well. Okay, that is what is called Scrum of Scrum. Then extreme programming. Extreme programming is used when you are doing something very innovative. Okay, extremely innovative, and that's why it is called extreme programming. It is so innovative that you actually put two people together on the same system doing the same work, because one person might not be able to understand what to do next. That is what is called extreme programming. Okay, so whenever you see the term extreme programming, remember that it is an idea of doing something very, very innovative. And we have taken everything to the extreme. That is why it is called extreme programming. In extreme programming, pair programming is the term that we use to put two people on the same system. One person is writing the code, another person is reviewing the code. Then this person will write the code, this person will review the code on the same machine. The benefit is that because you are doing so many innovative things, that you think that this works. When you are doing traditional approach and when we have traditional mindset, it feels like, why should there be a person looking at the same system while we are working? It is so irritating. It's all irritating when things are known to you. When things are unknown, when things are very, very innovative, the same person who is sitting next to you feels like an angel because they are helping. And you are helping them, they are helping you. That is what is called pair programming. So programming is done in pair. That's why it is called pair programming. Yes, Moni, please go ahead.
Yes, I mean, please, could you come back to the previous slide?
Yeah.
I did not get you when you were explaining extreme programming, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I did not got you well when you were explaining extreme programming.
Okay, see, the idea of extreme programming is that you are doing something very innovative. Okay, you are probably working on artificial intelligence, you are probably working on metaverse, you are working on something which has not been done before. Okay, then you use a framework called extreme programming, where you put two people together on the same machine so that they can help one another in writing the code or in programming. Okay, the framework is called extreme programming, and one part of it is pair programming, where we put two members on the same system so that they can complete their job. That is what is called extreme programming. There are different frameworks, there are principles, there are mindset, but we don't have to get into that. It will be a course in itself. Okay, so just understand that whenever they say extreme programming, we are talking about extremely innovative thing that we are doing, and hence we will need two people at the same machine who will do the job, because you might see this term in the exam, pair programming or extreme programming. Clear?
Very clear.
Thank you. Another term, lean software development. Okay, if you are from traditional background, you know what lean is. If you are from agile background, also you know what lean is. Lean means removing waste, being absolutely slim. Okay, so not doing extra processes, not doing extra documentation, not doing extra discussions, not doing extra meetings. This is what is called lean. Okay, so using that lean process to develop software is called lean software development, which means you are doing only those things which are absolutely necessary. Okay, how will you do that? You will do your value stream mapping, you will do your value stream analysis, and you will remove all those non-value adding activities, and you will keep only value adding activities. That's how you do lean software development. Then Kanban. Okay, Kanban is a flow-based agile, where we create this Kanban board, where we divide our work into to do, doing, and done. Selected, development, acceptance. Anything you can talk about it. What you are doing is you are dividing your work into multiple stages, and then you are capturing the flow. What is your team member working on? Okay, that is what is called Kanban board. It's a visual representation of what your team members are currently working on. Then when you display it and when you capture the movement of items from one stage to another, right? You will also come to know about the time that it takes to move from selected to development, development to acceptance, acceptance to deployed. When you start capturing this time, you come to know about the lead time as well. Lead time is the time it takes your team when they had selected the option to start until the time they worked on it and completed it. The whole time is called lead time. The total time their team members will take to complete the job after they have decided to start. Okay. Second term is called cycle time. Cycle time is the total time that team members will take when they have started writing the code, the first line that they have written, and by the time they completed it. Understand the difference. Okay. Lead time is when they decided to start and when they completed the job. Cycle time is when they started writing the code and they completed it. Not just the code, started doing the work and completed the work. That is your cycle time. Exact time that they have put in doing the work. And the difference between lead time and cycle time is called response time. So the time that the team members decided that, yes, we can do this work, and the time that they took to start doing that work is called response time. What do they do in that? They do the research, they prepare themselves, they check the laptop, everything is working, they sit on the table, and then they start working. Okay, so the time that it takes after they have decided that they will do the work and before they start doing the work is called response time. So the time that they take to respond to the work is called response time. Okay, so lead time is the total time after decision till completion. Cycle time is after they have started doing the work till completion. Response time, the time after they have decided to work and before they have actually started working is your response time, the time that they will take to respond. When you capture all these things regularly, repetitively for all the user stories, what you get is called cumulative flow diagram. Cumulative flow diagram tells you which user story was added when did it move to doing stage, when did it move to done stage, and how much time it is taking. Is it going up? Is it going down? Do we have a lot of gap? Do we have less gap? You will be able to analyze your work, your team members' work. You will be able to identify if they are facing any problem through this, and you will be able to discuss on those problems. That's why we create cumulative flow diagram. Okay, so cumulative flow diagram is capturing everything, every single stage that the work goes through and presenting it in a chart so that we can understand the trend. Scrumban is a mix of Scrum and Kanban. Okay, so there was someone who was not happy with Scrum, neither they were happy with Kanban. So they mixed it and they called it Scrumban. So they said, we'll do a little bit of Scrum, we'll do a little bit of Kanban. Okay, for some reason, of course, for some benefit. Okay, and that is what is called Scrumban. Nothing much. Scrumban is mix of Scrum and Kanban. Feature-driven development. Okay, so you are developing a product feature by feature. You're not talking about user stories, you're not talking about anything else, you're not talking about iteration, you are saying we will pick up one feature, we'll complete it, then we'll move to next feature, we'll complete it, then we'll move to next feature, we'll complete it. So feature by feature, we will complete the work. That is what is called feature-driven development. Then another term is called test-driven development. Okay, this is where you write the test first and then you write the code. So that the minute you write one line of code, you will get a warning if something is wrong. Okay, same thing that we discussed when we were talking about cutting the metal in a particular environment. The first cut you make, if it is a corrosive environment, it will automatically corrode and you will come to know with the first stroke of it itself. That's the same thing as test-driven development. So your development of the product is driven by the test case that you have written. So what do? They first write the test so that whenever you write a code, it will automatically get tested. If it is wrong, you will not be able to submit. You will have to keep on correcting it. You will have to keep on doing it unless and until it is correct. Okay, so initially it will be red. Then you will keep on working it. It will become green. And after that, you will have to clean the code. You will finish it. Okay, that's what it happens. First, you write the test. Then you keep on writing, test fails. You write the code. Okay, test automatically will fail. So you write the code to make the test pass. Test passes, you clean the code, and you keep repeating this cycle throughout your project. Once we have test-driven development, we also have acceptance test-driven development. It's the same thing. Okay, now this is wrong. Okay, it's the same thing of test-driven development. Instead of adding just a simple test, we are writing acceptance test. So we are not only checking whether it will run, we are also checking whether it will be accepted by the customer or not. So first you will write the acceptance test, then you will write the code, it will pass, clean the code, keep on doing that same thing throughout the project. We have another methodology called Crystal methodology. Okay, now Crystal methodologies are group of methodology depending on how complex your work is. Okay, and you denote it by color. You use light color for easy work. You use darker colors for more and more complex work. So the more complex your project is, more number of people will be working, and darker that color would be. So you will call it crystal white, crystal yellow, crystal red, crystal magenta, something of that sort. Okay, so remember this, whenever you see crystal, it's a group of methodologies used to manage software development. Depending on how complex the work is, the methodologies will change. Okay, and crystal clear, crystal yellow, crystal red, crystal magenta are the colors that you are going to use. More complex the project, more number of people will be used. That is what crystal methodology is. Will you see that in exam? Probably not. Okay, but again, I would repeat, try to go through this video one more time, because you never know. If you see it, you should not feel that you are seeing something absolutely new. If you know that, okay, you had seen it somewhere, you will feel confident and you will solve the question, because they are not going to ask you the definition of it. Even if they mention crystal, extreme programming, pair programming, they are still testing agile principles and mindset only. So focus more on agile principles and mindset, focus more on solving the question that you have. Okay, and then revise it, whatever we are doing, revise it maybe once or twice. Another is called dynamic systems development method. The idea here is that the team is involved not only on building the product, but also pre-project and post-project. So they are looking at the system as a whole, which is dynamic, and that's why we are using agile approach. And then they are developing the project. So they are always focused on how whatever they are doing will impact the whole system. That is why it is called dynamic systems development method, also known as DSDM. Okay. Large scale Scrum is similar to Scrum of Scrum, where you are taking the Scrum idea, which is for a particular team, to the entire organization. Okay, that is why it is called large scale Scrum. The same thing that we learned in Scrum of Scrum, which means you have multiple Scrum teams. They will have their Scrum masters. They will be talking together and forming a Scrum team of their own. DevOps, you might have heard this. You might not see that in the exam. Okay, but DevOps means development and operations together. Okay, so what you do is, whenever you are developing the work, developing the product, you are automatically immediately raising it to the operations team as well. Operations team will start doing whatever they want to work. They'll give you a feedback, and then you'll start developing. So development, the project part, and the operation parts are working in hand to hand. What do we generally see? We see that the project will be over, then we will hand it over to operation and they'll take care of it. But in DevOps, what happens is the development and operations will go hand in hand. Then another term is Agile Unified Process. It is nothing different. It is just the same thing as Agile. Using your Agile principles and mindset to follow and complete the work, where there is one process that you follow. Generally, we don't talk about process, but there is a certain unified process that you follow using Agile mindset and principles. That's why it is called Agile Unified Process. Blended Agile, just like Scrum Ban. Scrum Ban was a mix of Scrum and Kanban. Similarly, you can mix anything. Mix extreme programming ideas with Scrum idea. Mix test-driven development with Kanban. Okay, so you can always mix and match these different agile approaches, And these are called blended agile. Then we have disciplined agile. This is very specific to PMI. There is a certification through disciplined agile. The idea is how do we scale agile that we talk about a team on an organization level. Scrum, large scale Scrum was the idea of scaling the Scrum framework for an organization level, at an organization level. Disciplined agile, and the next that we'll see is scale agile, is an idea of scaling agile from the team idea to an organization level, right? So disciplined agile is that, and scale agile also similar thing. There are different frameworks, different ways in which you do it, but the idea is same. You are taking the agile idea from team to an entire organization. Okay, you must have heard and you must have seen on LinkedIn or any other, Safe 6, I am Safe 6 certified, excited and thrilled to announce that I am Safe 6 certified. This is what it is. Okay, you have understood agile and now you have taken it to a organization level. Okay, so although it sounds like it is very difficult and complicated compared to PMP, all these certifications are very easy. So the certification that you are preparing for is very, very complicated. Okay, because it covers all these parts as well. Will you see these things? Chances are less. You might see that they might mention that in your organization, you are following disciplined agile. In your organization, you are following behavior-driven development. And then they will give you a question. And that question would be based on everything that we had studied in the training. Okay. Just when you see these terms, you should know what they're talking about. Only for that reason, try to revise it one more time. Okay. This is how we have covered 100 agile concepts. Okay.